Chapter 315. The flying fighters quickly left the area of the land of extreme coldness and rose into the sky. The heavenly mandate continent was surrounded by the celestial spirits. Thousands of feet above the sky, there were also thousands of celestial spirits, isolating all creatures on the heavenly mandate continent and preventing them from leaving. Even with the dance of the dragon sparrow and the lunar wings, I can only fly a few thousand feet above the sky. It's impossible to reach the first layer of the celestial spirits, Long Yu thought to himself. After the people on the flying carpet came out of the extreme coldness, no one said a word. Almost everyone was immersed in a unique atmosphere. In such an atmosphere, many people's bottlenecks in the martial arts realm were loosened. After feeling the power of the celestial spirits, a few people seemed to have touched the threshold of the celestial realm. If they worked harder, they might be able to break through the bottleneck. And the water of the sacred spring that Long Yu drank not long ago finally showed its greatest effect. The rank 8 true spirit is coming. Long Yu immediately sat down on the flying carpet and closed his eyes, preparing for the breakthrough. Long Yu is about to break through. Yin Huanma saw this and immediately moved towards Long Yu. Everyone knew that it was taboo to be disturbed when a martial arts cultivator was breaking through. Now that Long Yu was about to break through, Yin Huanma naturally had to protect him. This is a good opportunity. Stop him. In the crowd, Yu Qianning's eyes flashed fiercely. She seemed to want to take this opportunity to stop Long Yu from breaking through. Emir Yin Huan Imo couldn't stop Yu Qianning. However, at this moment, the princess of the royal family, Chu Huang, who was dressed in a snow-white silk robe, made a move, inadvertently blocking Long Yu's path. Some people better think about what they are doing. Don't embarrass the Tang Empire. Chu Huang's lips moved slightly, and her soft voice entered Yu Qianning's ears. This made Yu Qianning's expression stagnate, and she did not dare to act rashly. Although she had recently stepped into the rank 9 true spirit realm, compared to Chu Huang, she was still much weaker. If Chu Huang stopped her, it would be impossible for her to make a move on Long Yu. However, Yu Qianning wasn't the only one who wanted to attack Long Yu. The 7 warriors of Donri in bronze armor all looked at Long Yu. Their eyes were filled with murderous intent, and their murderous intent instantly spread toward Long Yu. They did not know Long Yu, nor did they have any enmity with Long Yu. However, they knew that Long Yu came from the Tang Empire, and the Tang Empire's cultivators were their enemies. At this moment, this Tang Empire martial artist actually dared to try to advance in front of them. How could they let Long Yu successfully step into the next realm? Don't blame me for not warning you. If anyone dares to make a move here, I will throw them down from here. The white-robed messenger's voice was suddenly heard, and there was a hint of coldness in his words. Throwing someone down from the flying carpet was not easy for them to die at their current level. However, if they were to be thrown down, they would definitely not be able to participate in the heavenly mandate sacred selection. They had worked so hard to obtain the qualification to participate in the heavenly mandate sacred selection. Who would take it so lightly? Immediately, the group of people from Donri didn't dare to move. I knew it. The corner of Long Yu's mouth curled up. In fact, when he squatted down, he knew that the white-robed messenger from the Northern Academy of Heavenly Mandate would definitely ensure his safety. Otherwise, some people from the Northern Academy would be disappointed. After hearing the white-robed messenger's words, Long Yu was finally relieved and prepared to break through to the next realm. Seeing how relaxed Long Yu was, Yu Qianning and the group of people from Donri were itching to kill Long Yu immediately. Unfortunately, they didn't want to lose the qualification to participate in the heavenly mandate sacred selection. Yu Qianning remembered what Yu Ruyan had told her. What she needed to do in the heavenly mandate sacred selection was to make friends with other young geniuses. For example, the lonely white-robed figure just now, Ji Tianxi, was someone she needed to make friends with. As for Emir Long Yu, he was not worthy of her attention. As for the people from Donri, they still thought that Long Yu was only in the rank 7 true spirit. Even if he succeeded in breaking through, he would only be in the rank 8 true spirit, which was not a big threat to them. Donri, I'll remember you. Long Yu thought to himself. He didn't offend these so-called warriors from Donri at all, but these guys tried to stop him when he was about to break through. Long Yu, of course, had to bear a grudge against these guys. Otherwise, people would really think that he was a pushover. The heaven-suppressing sun, the moon of extreme, and the dragon of the 9 underworlds. It's really too difficult to advance the 3 true spirits to the next level. Fortunately, the water from the holy spring is indeed effective. The accumulated spiritual chi of heaven and earth these 2 days is enough for me to condense the 3 true spirits. Long Yu thought, while feeling the various powers of heaven and earth in the air around him. Not long after, his aura began to rise and grow stronger. It was even more powerful than when ordinary martial arts cultivators stepped into the rank 9 true spirit. But at this time, no one paid attention to Long Yu. Even Yin Huanma, who was guarding beside Long Yu, didn't pay much attention to him, because at this time, the flying carpet was rising in a straight line, approaching the colorful light in the sky. They were almost at the Northern Academy of the Heavenly Mandate Realm. Everyone looked up at the sky and found that there was a burst of colorful light above their heads, exactly the same as the one in the distance in the land of extreme coldness. They all now knew that this layer of light was called the Heavenly Spirit, or the Heavenly Wind. Sunlight could penetrate the Heavenly Spirit. But if the creatures of the Heavenly Mandate Continent wanted to leave the Heavenly Mandate Continent, they had to break through the 1,000-layer Heavenly Spirit. A multicolored bridge extended down from the multicolored light and appeared before everyone's eyes. The white-robed messenger who led the crowd could only break through the first layer of the Heavenly Spirit, so he obviously couldn't lead them to the Northern Academy of the Heavenly Mandate Continent. And if they wanted to go to the Northern Academy of the Heavenly Mandate Continent, everyone had to pass through the colorful light bridge. This was the method that the warriors of the Northern Academy of the Heavenly Mandate Continent deliberately used to welcome the more than 400 young geniuses who participated in the sacred selection of Heavenly Mandate Continent. The carpet, gourd, leaves, and other flying soldiers flew toward the colorful light bridge. Through this colorful light bridge, everyone could directly pass through the Heavenly Spirit and go to the Northern Academy of the Heavenly Mandate Continent, which was located in the 10th layer of the Heavenly Spirit. In the areas with lower layers of the Heavenly Spirit, warriors can use their means to build such a bridge, allowing people with insufficient cultivation to pass through the Heavenly Spirit. The white-robed messenger explained respectfully, but after the layers of the Heavenly Spirit exceed 400, it is absolutely impossible to build such a bridge, unless you have the ability to break through the 1,000-layer Heavenly Spirit and leave the Heavenly Mandate Continent. In other words, from the Heavenly Mandate Continent to the outside world, there were a total of 1,000 layers of the Heavenly Mandate Continent. From the inside to the outside, between the first layer and the 400th layer, some warriors built bridges, allowing people with insufficient cultivation to pass through the Heavenly Spirit. But beyond the 400th level of Heavenly Dipper, those with insufficient cultivation would not be able to pass. Without the help of a powerful expert, it would be impossible, unless that warrior was in existence beyond the level of the Heavenly Mandate Continent. And there was no such existence in the entire Northern Academy of the Heavenly Mandate Continent. Along the bridge, everyone only felt a strong sense of oppression around them, pressing down from above their heads. This kind of oppression, if one had not reached the unity of the real spirit realm, even with the protection of the white-robed messenger and the others, they would absolutely not be able to withstand it. Only then did everyone know why the minimum requirement to participate in the sacred selection of Heavenly Mandate Continent was to reach the unity of the real spirit realm. The light changed and the colors intertwined. Not long after, the astral wind of the 10th layer passed through, and what appeared in front of everyone was a magnificent palace floating in the clouds. The sea of clouds was swirling and rolling, and the whole scene was magnificent. Below this palace was the 10th layer of the Heavenly Spirit, that burst of light showing a pale yellow color. and above the palace was the 11th layer of the heavenly mandate continent, a burst of light green light, like the sky, covering the whole space. The entire Northern Academy of the Heavenly Mandate Continent was located between the 10th and 11th layers of the Heavenly Mandate Continent. Between every two layers of the Heavenly Mandate Continent is a ring-shaped space. The further you go, the farther the distance between the two layers. I even heard that after the 400th layer of the Heavenly Mandate Continent, you can't even see the next layer at a glance. The white-robed messenger sighed. Although the Northern Academy of the Heavenly Mandate Continent is the strongest force on the Heavenly Mandate Continent, after all, it is unable to leave the Heavenly Mandate Continent and go to the outside world. What a pity, what a pity! This feeling of being trapped in a cage, no matter who it was, would not feel comfortable. In particular, the older the martial cultivators, the more they felt this, because as they got older, their talents became very clear, and they knew that they had no hope of breaking through in this life. On the other hand, when young martial cultivators saw and heard about these things, they would be filled with boundless fighting spirit. This was also the biggest reason why the participants of the Heavenly Mandate Sacred Selection could not be older than 30 years old. All kinds of flying soldiers continued to move forward in the clouds, and soon they arrived at the magnificent palace, which was the main gate of the Northern Academy of the Heavenly Mandate Continent. Because the whole palace was suspended in mid-air, the main gate was surrounded by endless clouds, decorating the whole palace like a fairyland. The seniors of the Northern Academy are waiting for you in front. Later, remember to be polite. The white-robed messenger gave a final order, and then he activated the flying carpet and flew toward the gate of the palace. What should we do? Long Yu has not successfully broken through yet. Seeing that they were about to reach the Northern Academy of the Heavenly Mandate Continent, and there were all kinds of seniors of the Northern Academy waiting in front, but Long Yu had not woken up yet, Yan Huanma was a little anxious. If those seniors saw this, wouldn't it be very rude? Don't worry. Royal Princess Chu Huang frowned slightly. The seniors of the Northern Academy of the Heavenly Mandate Continent should not care about this. After all, Long Yu is breaking through. Everyone knows that for martial cultivators, breaking through is the most important thing. I hope so. Yan Huanma could only think so. Chapter 316. One by one, the flying soldiers arrive between the 10th and 11th floors of the Big Dipper, heading toward the magnificent palace where the Northern Academy of Heavenly Mandate was located. Amidst the lingering clouds and mist, dozens of celestial realm experts hovered in midair at the entrance of the palace to welcome them. The person in the lead was a white-haired old man with a sage-like demeanor. He wore a white robe with a blue lotus embroidered on his chest. His white hair fluttered in the wind. Judging from his position, this white-haired old man was the lord of the entire Northern Academy of Heavenly Mandate Realm. Greetings, Master of the Tianyi Institute. The white-robed messengers who had gone out to bring the young geniuses participating in the Heavenly Mandate Sacred Selection came to the door and paid their respects to the old man. Bei Tianyi was the lord of the Northern Academy of Heavenly Mandate and was in charge of the entire Northern Academy. Now that so many youths of the Heavenly Mandate Sacred Selection had arrived, Bei Tianyi naturally had to step forward and say some words of encouragement. Get up. Did anything happen? Bei Tianyi smiled and asked the many white-robed envoys. No, it's just that this time, there is someone named Ji Tianchi. He has just stepped into the sky human realm, yet he is able to break through level 5 of the Celestial Dipper realm. His talent is not bad, worth paying attention to. Many white-robed envoys said. Oh, Bai Tianyi's interest was piqued. He nodded and said, I hope that the Heavenly Mandate Sacred Selection this time can select some true geniuses to become disciples of our North Yard. Also, Hall Master, this time, your grandson is also here. One of them was slightly hesitant, but he made up his mind and said it. As soon as he said that, Bai Tianyi's face darkened. The Heavenly Mandate Sacred Selection only looks at talent, not status. Even if he is my grandson, so what? It was obvious that Bei Tianyi's attitude toward his grandson wasn't very good. His grandson was, of course, Long Yu. The white-robed messengers all retreated, and the flying battle soldiers all landed at the gate of the Northern Academy of the Heavenly Mandate Realm. More than 400 people who participated in the Heavenly Mandate Sacred Selection walked down from the flying battle soldiers. Looking at the fairyland-like scene of the Northern Academy of Heavenly Mandate, everyone opened their eyes wide. Among them, there was a lone figure in white, Ji Tianqi. His eyes were filled with anticipation as he strode forward, leading everyone. At the same time, there were a few other young genius experts who had stepped into the Heaven Being Secret Realm. They were not to be outdone, and they strode forward together with Ji Tianqi. Apart from the Celestial Realm experts, there were also demon cultivators that were rarely seen among human martial cultivators. A Gui Valley envoy with wings like long swords and a Gui Valley envoy with rainbow wings flew side by side in the crowd. They were the two young geniuses from the Soul Valley Demon Kingdom, Jian, Yi, and Hongyu. In the Soul Valley Demon Kingdom, the Ghost Valley Wing emissaries were a large clan. The entire Soul Valley Demon Kingdom had 32 places to participate in the Heavenly Mandate Sacred Selection. Of course, the Ghost Valley Wing emissaries clan occupied a large number of places. Although a conflict had broken out between the Soaring Sky Tribe and the Ghost Sect Tribe, in terms of the Heavenly Mandate Sacred Selection, the Ghost Sect Tribe could not deprive Sword Wing and Hongyu of the right to participate. The reason why a demonic nation like the Soul Valley Demon Kingdom was also qualified to participate in the Heavenly Mandate Sacred Selection was that there were already powerful demonic cultivators in the Northern Academy of the Heavenly Mandate Realm. A silver-haired, middle-aged man stepped forward and greeted the beast cultivators from the two beast cultivator kingdoms. "Welcome, everyone." The middle-aged man's eyes were as demonic as a fox's. With a smile, he was actually a beast cultivator who had stepped into the celestial realm. "Greetings, Senior." Many beast cultivators who participated in the Heavenly Mandate Sacred Selection all rushed toward the silver-haired man. They could all see that this middle-aged man was a powerful beast cultivator. A beast cultivator who had reached the realm of oneness of heaven and man could transform into a human form. For any beast cultivator, this was something that was extremely desired. "Welcome to the Northern Academy of the Heavenly Mandate Realm." A golden-robed celestial realm expert greeted the 400 people with a smile. "I am Xuanji Shanhai. Everyone, I am mainly responsible for the Heavenly Mandate Sacred Selection this time." "Greetings, Senior Xuanji." Ji Tianqi and a large group of martial cultivators who participated in the Heavenly Mandate Sacred Selection bowed to Xuanji Shanhai, including the beast cultivators. Among them, there were even 2 tiger demons of the 9 True Spirit who expressed a sense of respect for Xuanji Shanhai. These 2 tiger demons were also members who participated in the Heavenly Mandate Sacred Selection. The golden-robed young man in front of them was the person in charge of the Heavenly Mandate Sacred Selection. How could they not perform well so that he would take a second look at them? The competition had already begun when everyone saw the Northern Academy of the Heavenly Mandate Sacred Selection. At this moment, no one wanted to be left behind. Even if they could not leave a good impression in the eyes of Xuanji Shanhai, they could not afford to offend him. Unfortunately, at this moment, someone just had to cause trouble. On such an occasion, how can there be someone who ignores all the seniors and stays where he is? The little prince of ancient Meng, Meng Duo Kai, chuckled. It was obvious that he was referring to Long Yu. At this time, Long Yu was still on the flying carpet and showed no signs of moving. He was like an old monk in meditation, sitting cross-legged with his eyes closed. As soon as Meng Duo Kai said this, many people turned around and saw Long Yu at a glance. "Haha, this kid is really funny. Is he so scared that he doesn't dare to move after coming to the Northern Academy of the Heavenly Mandate Sacred Selection? He's only at the 7 True Spirit. How can such a guy qualify for the Heavenly Mandate Sacred Selection? Where did he come from? I think he's from a small country in the north, called the Tang Empire or something. In short, it's not a big place. In my opinion, instead of giving such a small country a spot and letting such trash participate in the Heavenly Mandate Sacred Selection, it's better to give more spots to our Dragon Kingdom. That's right. In our Dragon Kingdom, there are 32 spots, and all of them are people of the 9 true spirit. Any one of them can kill a kid of the 7 true spirit hundreds of times. The group of people laughed. In their eyes, Long Yu is only at the 7 true spirit cultivation. Of course, he could be mocked at will. In this world, martial arts were respected. Martial arts practitioners with low cultivation had no dignity, especially in the Northern Academy of the Heavenly Mandate Sacred Selection. Hundreds of young geniuses gathered, but Long Yu was probably the only one in the 7 true spirit realm. Hearing the crowd's discussion, the white-robed Northern Academy Lord, Bei Tianyi, narrowed his eyes and glanced at Long Yu in the distance. With his martial arts realm, he could naturally see at a glance that Long Yu was in the process of breaking through. In the process, he even triggered more fluctuations of the laws of heaven and earth than ordinary martial arts practitioners breaking through. This kid is a bit strange. As Bei Tianyi thought about it, he nodded to Xuanji Shanhai beside him. Xuanji Shanhai understood the meaning of the head of the academy. He sneered and said straightforwardly, "This kid is called Long Yu, and he is now at the critical moment of breaking through." The breakthrough of the martial arts realm is the most sacred thing in this world. It is a sin for you to disturb his cultivation. As soon as this was said, those who had mocked Long Yu immediately shut their mouths. After coming to the Northern Academy of the Heavenly Mandate Sacred Selection, Yu Qianing did not dare to be presumptuous. Even when the little prince of Gumeng mocked her first, she did not say anything. Now, as soon as she heard Xuanji Shanhai's words, Yu Qianing's heart skipped a beat, and she secretly felt lucky. Fortunately, she did not say anything. Otherwise, she would have left a bad impression on Xuanji Shanhai. Soon, everyone knew that this matter was not as simple as leaving a bad impression on Xuanji Shanhai. The Heavenly Mandate Sacred Selection has already begun. Xuanji Shanhai smiled and said, "Let me announce the specific rules of the Sacred Selection this time. As in the past, we will evaluate your development potential in martial arts, and after many tests, we will come up with a final overall score. In the end, the 12 people with the highest overall score will become disciples of the Northern Academy of the Heavenly Mandate Sacred Selection. For those who just spoke to disturb the cultivation of others, 1 point will be deducted from their overall score. Mondakai of Gumeng, as the first one to speak, will be deducted 2 points." As soon as this was said, the people who had just mocked Long Yu were dumbfounded. They still did not know that the Heavenly Mandate Sacred Selection had already begun, and just because they had mocked Yi Futian, it had actually affected the final overall score of the Sacred Selection of Heavenly Mandate Sacred Selection. This was simply an undeserved disaster. However, who had asked them to be so despicable as to mock others? They did not consider that if it were not for Long Yu's strong will, and that he did not care at all about their mockery, would his breakthrough in martial arts not have been forcefully destroyed by these people? I refuse to accept this. The little prince of Gumeng, Mondakai, suddenly snorted coldly. The Heavenly Mandate Sacred Selection is a sacred and private event. It tests the talent of martial arts practitioners. I only spoke the truth, and my score is deducted. This is too unfair. Moreover, I heard that this Long Yu seems to be related to a senior from the Northern Academy. Could it be that the Northern Academy is biased towards him? The rules of the Heavenly Mandate Sacred Selection have been set, and no one can be an exception. Even I cannot interfere, so you can all rest assured." Bei Tianyi said calmly. When Xuanji Shanhai heard this, he immediately shouted, "That's right, Mondakai. The rules of the Heavenly Mandate Sacred Selection were set long before we came. You all have violated the spirit of the Sacred Selection, so of course, your score will be deducted. As for Long Yu, no matter what his identity is, he is now a member of the Heavenly Mandate Sacred Selection, just like you all." After saying this, a playful look appeared in the depths of Xuanji Shanhai's eyes. On the surface, his words seemed to be biased towards Long Yu, but was it not also harming him? He had so openly mentioned Long Yu's name, and, in his words, hinted that this Long Yu had a backer in the Northern Academy of Heavenly Mandate. Was this not pushing Long Yu to become everyone's enemy? In particular, those young geniuses whose overall score had been deducted hated Long Yu to the bone. This method of secretly framing someone was played without leaving any traces. Even if Bai Tianyi noticed it, he could not do anything to Xuanji Shanhai. After all, Xuanji Shanhai's words were not wrong. Moreover, Bai Tianyi did not care about the little episode of the Heavenly Mandate sacred selection at all. What he wanted was the result of the Heavenly Mandate sacred selection. He only needed 12 young geniuses to become disciples of the Northern Academy of Heavenly Mandate and enhance the overall strength of the Northern Academy. Mondakai, not only did you take the lead to disturb the breakthrough of others in martial arts, but you also questioned the fairness of the sacred selection. Your overall score will be deducted by 2 points, Xuanji Shanhai continued, which made the little prince of ancient Meng a little confused. The sacred selection of the Heavenly Mandate Kingdom had not officially begun, but because he had said a few words about Long Yu, he had been deducted 4 points at once. It was really unfair. Of course, he could not vent his anger on Xuanji Shanhai. Long Yu, just you wait. Chapter 317. Not only Prince Meng Duo Kai of Ancient Meng Kingdom, but the other martial cultivators who had their scores deducted were also filled with resentment towards Long Yu. Among them, the most frightening was the group of martial cultivators from Dragon Do. Dragon Do was one of the 4 great countries like Beihai Kingdom and Heavenly Cloud Sword Kingdom. The martial cultivators from Dragon Do were all arrogant and thought that they were stronger than other martial cultivators. Just now, it was the group of martial cultivators from Dragon Do who had mocked Long Yu the most. But now, more than 10 martial cultivators from Dragon Do had their scores deducted, which made them so angry that they wanted to vomit blood. Towards Long Yu, the main culprit, there was no need to mention how much they hated him. But in reality, Long Yu was the most wronged. He had only been cultivating and trying to break through without saying anything, but he had inexplicably offended so many people. I've broken through to the 8th level of the true spirit realm. At this moment, Long Yu's aura changed. He had finally broken through the boundary and stepped into the 8th level of the true spirit's secret realm. Moreover, at this moment, the 9 underworld dragon seal on his chest had finally started to undergo another transformation. The 9 underworld dragon mark. Every time my martial cultivation increases to a certain level, it will transform. Long Yu thought. After awakening the Azure Dragon mark, I stepped into the 1st level of the martial path. When I stepped into the 4th level of the martial path and the 7th level of the martial path, the 9 underworld dragon mark underwent 3 transformations. When he condensed his true spirit, the 9 underworld dragon mark underwent another transformation. That was the 4th transformation. This transformation had transmitted the cultivation method of the 9 underworld dragon explosion into his mind. And now, when he stepped into the 8th level of the true spirit realm, the 9 underworld dragon mark on his chest had undergone another transformation. This time, the most obvious change was that once the 9 underworld dragon mark was activated, his strength would increase by more than 100 June. One must know that a normal 8th level martial cultivator only had a basic strength of 128 June. When Long Yu activated the 9 underworld dragon seal, he would instantly have twice the strength of a normal 8th true spirit layer cultivator. The effect of the holy spring water is really not bad. Long Yu sighed with emotion and finally opened his eyes. He glanced forward and saw the entire magnificent Northern Academy of Heavenly Mandate, as well as many martial arts cultivators who had their eyes on him. Long Yu, you finally broke through. Yan Huan and Mo had the best relationship with Long Yu, so he was naturally the first to congratulate him. At the same time, he briefly told him what had happened just now. Xuanji Shanhai, the Lord of the Northern Academy of Heavenly Mandate Realm, the little prince of Gumeng, the martial arts cultivator of Dragon Do. Long Yu glanced ahead, and a shrewd glint flashed in his eyes. Just by listening to Yen Huanma's words, he had grasped the mentality of most of the people present, which was not difficult for Long Yu. The Lord of the Northern Academy of Heavenly Mandate Realm, Bei Tianyi, was Bei Yuyao's father and also Long Yu's grandfather. However, at this time, this grandfather seemed to be pretending not to know Long Yu, which was not surprising to Long Yu. He knew very well that no one in the entire Northern Academy of Heavenly Mandate Realm would like to see him. As for Xuanji Shanhai, Long Yu knew what he was thinking. They are both surnamed Xuanji. What is the relationship between Xuanji Shanhai and Xuanji Tianxin? Who stole the little fox? Long Yu naturally began to guess, but unfortunately, he knew nothing about the situation of the Northern Academy of Heavenly Mandate Realm. No matter how hard he tried, he could not guess. He could only be sure that Xuanji Shanhai was 100% malicious toward him. If you want to deal with me, then come on. A cold light flashed in Long Yu's eyes, and he did not care much about Xuanji Shanhai's deliberate framing. As for the martial arts cultivators of Dragon Do and the little prince of Ancient Meng, Long Yu did not care about them at all. He glanced around and noticed that near the group of Heavenly Mandate Realm warriors of the Northern Academy of Heavenly Mandate Realm, there were several martial arts cultivators with extremely powerful auras watching this side. Although they did not participate in the Heavenly Mandate Sacred Selection, there was no doubt that these powerful martial arts cultivators were watching everything that happened in the field. Even the Lord of the Northern Academy of Heavenly Mandate Realm, Bei Tianyi, and Xuanji Shanhai, who presided over the entire Heavenly Mandate Sacred Selection, were a little afraid of these people. They are people from the Southern Academy of Heavenly Mandate Realm, the Eastern Academy, the Western Academy, and the Central Sacred Academy. With them here, if Xuanji Shanhai wants to do anything to me, he really has to think twice. Long Yu sneered in his heart. Under such circumstances, there was really nothing for him to be afraid of. The ultimate goal of the Heavenly Mandate Sacred Selection was to select talented martial arts cultivators with enough talent and potential for development. If it was a fair competition, Long Yu did not think he would lose to anyone. All right, I have noted down all the people whose scores were deducted just now. Xuanji Shanhai saw that Long Yu had woken up and smiled playfully. He then waved his hand and said, "Next is the first segment of the Heavenly Mandate Sacred Selection, which is also the most basic segment." At this point, Xuanji Shanhai turned around and bowed slightly to Bei Tianyi. "Chief, I will leave it to you." Bei Tianyi nodded and did not even look at Long Yu. He just took a step forward and raised his hand. His aura rose all over his body, shocking all the young sacred selections, including Long Yu. What would the first segment of the Heavenly Mandate Sacred Selection be? "This is the divine text," Bei Tianyi said indifferently. Then, a shining golden character condensed in his hand. From this golden character, an extremely powerful and terrifying power was exuded. This kind of power spread out and immediately made the faces of many martial arts cultivators in the field change. Divine text. What on earth was this thing? Even Long Yu could feel an endless destructive power from the golden character. It was as if the divine text were to be blasted at him, there was absolutely no way he could withstand it. That was a kind of supreme power that surpassed the level of the laws of heaven and earth. The strength of the divine text surpasses the laws of heaven and earth. It is the infinite power that belongs to the gods beyond the heavens, Bei Tianyi said indifferently. This kind of power is the ultimate power for martial arts cultivators. If one can master a divine text and completely unleash its power, they can easily destroy the entire Heavenly Mandate continent. This sentence sounded indifferent, but the meaning expressed in it made the hearts of all martial arts cultivators tremble. Different colors flashed in their eyes. There was anticipation, longing, surprise, and shock. The power of a divine text could easily destroy the entire Heavenly Mandate continent. Wasn't this too exaggerated? I'm not trying to scare you with my words. Bei Tianyi laughed softly. Now, I have also only comprehended 30% of the power of this divine text. However, With the power of this divine text alone, I can already become the Lord of the Northern Academy of Heavenly Mandate. That's right. Even some cultivators at a higher martial arts realm than the Lord are not necessarily a match for you. Xuanji Shanhai smiled and added, Now, the first part of the Heavenly Mandate Sacred Selection is to let you comprehend the power of the divine text for 7 days. Comprehend the power of the divine text. All the martial arts cultivators, including Long Yu, changed their expressions. They all looked a little excited. Such a powerful divine text was placed in front of them, and they were asked to comprehend it directly? There is something I need to remind you in advance. Xuanji Shanhai looked at the excited expressions of the crowd and suddenly smiled with some contempt. This divine text is extremely difficult to comprehend. In the entire Northern Academy of Heavenly Mandate, only our Lord can comprehend more than 10% of it. Within these 7 days, even if you can comprehend 1,000th of it, your final score of the Heavenly Mandate Sacred Selection will be increased by 10 points. If you can comprehend 1%, your final score will be increased by 100 points. As these words came out, the eyes of many people, including Mengdo Kai and the martial arts cultivators of Dragon Do, all lit up. Additional points, and an additional 10 points at once. More than 100%. Of course, they also knew that it would be difficult to comprehend the power of the divine text. However, this was at least a hope. If they could seize this opportunity, not only could they catch up with their score, but they could also obtain a new kind of power. The power of the divine text was enough to topple the world. How could they not desire it? To be honest, the comprehension of the divine text is the first part of every Heavenly Mandate Sacred Selection. Xuanji Shanhai looked at the excitement of the crowd and said without care, However, in every Heavenly Mandate Sacred Selection, the number of people who can comprehend 1,000th of the power of the divine text can be counted on one hand. And there has not been a person who can comprehend 1% of the power for several consecutive Heavenly Mandate Sacred Selections. These words undoubtedly poured cold water on the excited crowd. These people were all young geniuses from various countries. In their own environment, they had always been the most talented people, so it was inevitable that they would be a little proud. They originally thought that even if the power of the divine text was difficult to comprehend, with their talent, it should not be a problem to comprehend 1,000th of the power. But now it seemed that they had thought too simply of the divine text. That's right. If it were not so difficult, the headmaster would not be the only one in the entire Northern Academy of Heavenly Mandate who has comprehended 30% of the power of the divine text. Long Yu narrowed his eyes and was mentally prepared for the difficulty of the upcoming challenge. However, some of the other martial arts cultivators were still somewhat eager to try and did not seem to believe it. From now on, you will all comprehend the power of the divine text here. Xuanji Shanhai waved his hand and said, For those who have not yet reached the celestial secret realm, there will be food sent to you every day. After 7 days, I hope that all of you will achieve something. This is also what everyone in the Northern Academy hopes for. The golden word that Bei Tianyi condensed floated above the heads of the crowd. As for the headmaster himself, he turned and left. The rest of the celestial secret realm warriors of the Northern Academy of Heavenly Mandate also turned and left one by one. Only Xuanji Shanhai and a few other white-robed messengers stayed. For warriors from the Southern Academy, Eastern Academy, Western Academy, and Central Sacred Academy also stayed. Chapter 3:18. The divine character left behind by Bei Tianyi looked like the word Do at first glance. Although the strokes were simple, it seemed to contain the majestic power of the endless cycle of nature. The Do character emitted a golden glow as if it was indestructible. It floated quietly above everyone's heads, but no one dared to underestimate its power. Even the powerhouses from the other courtyards who had come to visit were in awe of the Do character. Wang Changfeng didn't tell me about the power of the divine character. Could it be a power that even Wang Changfeng hasn't come into contact with? Long Yu's heart skipped a beat. He compared Wang Chongfeng's and Bai Tianyi's auras and realized that Wang Chongfeng's aura was weaker than Bai Tianyi's. Even though it might be because of the God-sealing seal, Long Yu's instincts told him that Bai Tianyi was even stronger than Wang Chongfeng at his peak. Long Yu shook his head and stopped thinking about it. His top priority now was to try and comprehend the power of the Do character. He had to make good use of the next 7 days. Long Yu opened his mind and started to feel the power of the divine character floating above his head. Being illuminated by the golden light of the divine runes, Long Yu felt as though he was being watched by a divine being. This feeling caused him to have a completely different understanding of the heavens and earth than he had in the past. It seems like even the 9 underworld dragon seal isn't helping me comprehend the divine character. Long Yu frowned slightly. Not only did the 9 underworld dragon seal not help him comprehend the divine character, but it also fell silent as soon as the Do character appeared. He had no idea why. However, does that mean I can't comprehend it on my own if the 9 underworld dragon seal doesn't help me? Long Yu didn't think too much about it. He immediately focused on comprehending the Do character. However, as time passed, Long Yu's brows furrowed even more. He was able to clearly sense the energy within the battle character, yet he was unable to utilize it for his own use. This was exactly what all the cultivators here felt. Even though they were geniuses in the martial way, they were still at their wits' end when faced with a power like divine characters that they had never come into contact with before. To comprehend the power of divine runes, the most important thing is to cross the threshold. There are many people who spend their entire lives unable to comprehend even a shred of the power of divine runes. This is because they are not fated to cross the threshold. Xuanji Shanhai said as he paced back and forth. It must be said that comprehending the power of the divine characters has a higher requirement of talent than comprehending any other power. Even the laws of heaven and earth at the heaven crystal level are easier to comprehend than divine characters. These words made Long Yu ponder a little. Without a doubt, even from the strength of the fighting character above his head, he could sense that it was a tyrannical power that surpassed all laws of the world. Of course, the laws of the netherworld were an exception. This was the strongest law of heaven and earth in this world. Even Long Yu couldn't say for sure whether it was stronger or weaker than the fighting character before him. The laws of heaven and earth are the source of this world's energy. If the power of these divine characters surpasses the laws of heaven and earth, could it be that these divine characters came from another world? Long Yu frowned slightly. The other world he was thinking of was not outside of the heavenly mandate continent. After all, outside of the heavenly mandate continent was the divine battle world. The laws of heaven and earth from the Yellowstone level all the way to the heaven crystal level still belong to the divine battle world. If that was the case, could the divine characters be a power that surpassed the divine battle world? This possibility made Long Yu's heart tremble. If that was the case, didn't this Bai Tianyi control a power that was even stronger than some of the experts in the divine battle world? Right? Long Yu suddenly recalled that in his memories of the 9 Serenities tribe, the tribe of descendants of the dragon, there seemed to be a vague impression of it. In the 9 Serenities tribe, some high-level celestial realm experts could strike out with some special and terrifying power with a wave of their hands. At first, Long Yu thought that this power was the power of the 9 Serenities law. But now that he thought about it, when those experts struck out with this power, there seemed to be strokes flashing around their bodies. Those strokes, could it be the divine characters? The 9 Serenities tribe possesses its own inherited divine character's power. A power that was stronger than the laws of heaven and earth, the power of the divine characters. Long Yu didn't know what its essence was. How could the golden characters formed by just a few strokes contain such a tyrannical and terrifying power? However, Long Yu didn't know, and the rest of the people at the scene were even more clueless. In comparison, Long Yu at least knew that outside of the heavenly mandate continent was the divine battle world. In the divine battle world, there were existences like the 9 Serenities tribe and the fallen Juyo Dragon Emperor. Long Yu's understanding of the origin of heaven and earth was far deeper than anyone else's. Perhaps even Bei Tianyi's understanding in this aspect couldn't compare to Long Yu's. Unfortunately, this was of no help to Long Yu in comprehending the fighting divine characters. A day passed by quickly. During this period of time, all 400 martial cultivators didn't have the time to pay attention to others. They were completely immersed in the process of comprehending the fighting divine characters. Unfortunately, after a day, not a single person had the slightest bit of comprehension towards the fighting divine characters. Not to mention the 1% that they were hoping for, not even 1,000th of it. The next day's food was quickly sent up. Martial cultivators who hadn't reached the celestial mystery realm still needed to eat to maintain their body's needs. However, experts who had reached the celestial mystery realm didn't need to. Among the 400 people of the scene, there were a total of 6 celestial mystery realm experts, including Ji Tianqi of the Heavenly Cloud Sword Nation. Of course, these 6 people didn't need to eat. However, after one of them looked around, he suddenly jumped up and asked, "Why didn't you prepare any food for me? Is this the genius of the Beihai Nation? Eater?" Xuanji Shanhai glanced at that person and smiled faintly. "Prepare 10 times the amount of food for ordinary people." Eater was the name of the celestial mystery realm expert. Just like his name, Eater was born with a strong interest in food. Even after stepping into the celestial mystery realm and attaining the oneness of heaven and man state, he often considered eating delicious food to be one of life's greatest pleasures. He was a fat man in a gray robe. His whole body was round like a ball, and he looked like a rice bucket at first glance. It was hard to imagine that a guy like him could step into the oneness of heaven and man state at the age of 20. After preparing 10 portions of food for Eater, the fat man in the gray robe finally began to eat with satisfaction. He wasn't even in a hurry to comprehend the fighting divine characters. Just as many people in the surroundings were about to laugh, the Eater gentleman's hand that was holding the drumstick suddenly emitted a golden light. Then, a dot of golden light flickered from the back of his hand. The fighting divine characters, those who wanted to laugh at the fat man in the gray robe, immediately choked and couldn't laugh anymore. "Ha! I didn't expect that I, a fat man, would be able to comprehend 1,000th of the power of the fighting divine characters just by eating something." Eater laughed loudly. But even so, he didn't give up on the delicious food in front of him. For the fat man in the gray robe, the amount of food for 10 people seemed to be just enough. He swallowed the food in 2 or 3 gulps and then burped. The strokes of the fighting divine characters he comprehended were becoming more and more complete. This scene attracted the attention of almost everyone around him. It is said that to comprehend the divine characters, one needs to be in a state that is compatible with the divine characters. For example, the fighting divine characters emphasize the concept of fighting. For this guy, food is his greatest pleasure. Maybe when he eats, he puts himself in an environment where he is fighting with something. The supervisors from the other courtyards pointed at the scene and whispered to each other. Watching the crowd comprehend the fighting divine characters, even for these cultivators, could give them some unique inspiration. Comprehending 1,000th of the power of the fighting divine characters would add 10 points to the overall score. This fat man in the gray robe, Eater, already had 10 points. In the process of the heavenly mandate sacred selection, he had taken a big step ahead of the others. To be able to comprehend 1,000th of the fighting divine characters was extremely difficult. Among the more than 400 people present, only a few could do it, and 7 days was almost the limit. The seniors of the Heavenly Mandate Sacred Academy had naturally studied some of the rules of comprehending the divine characters. If one could not comprehend 1,000th of the power of certain divine character in 7 days, then it would be useless no matter how long he was given. 7 days was a reference time for comprehending the power of the divine characters. Within 7 days, the more one comprehended the power of the divine characters, the more likely it was that they would comprehend the power of the divine characters in the future. On the 7th day, Ji Tianqi from the Heavenly Cloud Sword Nation and the young genius from the Chitta Nation, who had also entered the celestial being's secret realm, grasped 1,000th of the power of the fighting character almost at the same time, just as Xuanji Shanhai had expected. Within these 7 days, the number of geniuses who could comprehend 1,000th of the power of the divine characters was definitely less than one hand. As for 100th of the power, there was no need to mention it. The Eater, who had comprehended 1,000th of the power of the divine characters on the second day, also remained silent for the next few days and did not make any further progress. 7 days, it's up. As soon as the 7 days were up, Xuanji Shanhai gave a timely reminder with a faint smile. Everyone, you can stop now. As expected, there are only a few people who can comprehend the power of the divine characters. However, just as he said this, there was a sudden change in the field. Beside Long Yu, Yin Huanma, who was dressed in a black dress, suddenly shone with a burst of golden light. Within this golden light, there were some strokes of the fighting character. 1,000th of the power of the divine characters. Yin Huanma, who was only in the rank 8 true spirit, had actually comprehended 1,000th of the power of the fighting divine characters. Amazing! Even Xuanji Shanhai and the supervisors of the various academies had their eyes lit up. This noblewoman was obviously not simple. Before the crowd could recover from their shock, Long Yu, who was beside Yin Huanma, suddenly burst out with a power that seemed to be the power of the divine characters. However, this burst of power was quickly concealed by Long Yu, who then opened his eyes. What's going on with this kid? Xuanji Shanhai and the overseers all frowned. This Long Yu seemed to have also comprehended the power of the divine characters, but they were not too sure, because there did not seem to be anything strange about this kid. Chapter 319. Long Yu and Yin Huanma opened their eyes almost at the same time. Long Yu, you also comprehended the divine text? Yin Huanma felt the power of the divine text on Long Yu and was a little surprised. No, it's a pity, I almost did. Long Yu shook his head and said. Hearing his words, Yin Huanmo couldn't help but feel a little regretful. She had always felt that Long Yu's talent was higher than everyone present. However, Long Yu was actually just a step away from comprehending the power of divine runes. On the contrary, she actually comprehended 1,000th of the power of the fighting character at the last moment, which made her quite excited. At the last moment, she thought of her brother whom she had not seen for a long time. I wonder where that person is right now. She thought about the situation when she met her brother again in the future. What would it be like? As she thought about it, Yin Huanma began to comprehend the fighting character. Of course, this was not only because of her state of mind, but also because of her talent. Her brother stepped into the celestial being's secret realm at the age of 10. It was impossible that she did not inherit such a terrifying talent. However, Yin Huanma probably had not realized this talent since she was a child. Until now, she finally stood out among more than 400 people, comprehended 1,000th of the power of the fighting character, and became the focus of everyone's attention. Even Xuanji Shanhai was impressed by Yin Huanma. It's a pity that this woman seems to have some connection with Long Yu. Xuanji Shanhai frowned slightly and then smiled indifferently. As long as he knew that Long Yu could not even comprehend 1,000th of the fighting character, he was relieved. Although Long Yu was the grandson of the house master, he did not seem to have inherited the house master's talent. A total of 4 people have comprehended 1,000th of the fighting character. 10 points will be added to the overall score of the 4 of you. Xuanji Shanhai said, Those who failed to comprehend the power of the divine text, do not be discouraged. This is just a small part of the heavenly mandate sacred selection. In truth, it's extremely difficult to comprehend the power of divine characters out of thin air. The only way to do so is to obtain a divine character's mark by chance. That would be much easier. Our master is the only person in the Northern Academy of the Heavenly Mandate realm who has ever obtained the divine character inscription. That's why he can comprehend 30% of the power of the divine character, fighting. If you can't get the mark, no matter how talented you are, You can only comprehend 10% of the divine character's power. Xuanji Shanhai's words comforted those martial cultivators who had yet to comprehend the power of the divine runes. It turned out that in order to comprehend the power of divine runes, one needed to first obtain a divine runic seal. This was the easiest way to do so, but everyone knew just how precious a divine runic seal was. In the entire Northern Academy of the Heavenly Mandate Realm, only the Lord of Northern Sky First Academy had ever obtained the engraved divine script. One could imagine how rare this thing was. Everyone, follow me to the North Yard. The next round of the Heavenly Mandate Sacred Selection will begin soon. Xuanji Shanhai said as he turned around and led everyone into the Northern Academy of Heavenly Mandate. Long Yu, Yin Huan, Imo, and the others naturally followed and walked at the back of the group. The first round of the Heavenly Mandate Sacred Selection had ended. Although Long Yu did not receive any additional evaluation points, he was not discouraged. In fact, he had indeed comprehended the power of the divine character at the last moment. However, what he had comprehended was not the power of the divine character fighting displayed by Northern Sky First Academy, but another power of the divine character. The power of the divine character, Yu, was completely different from the power of the divine character fighting. The divine character fighting radiated golden light, but the divine character Yu only had a wisp of dim light. He had only comprehended 1,000th of the power of the divine character Yu. It was very inconspicuous, which was why others did not notice it. Although he did not know how the power of comprehending other divine characters would be counted in the Heavenly Mandate Sacred Selection, Long Yu did not want to make it public, because it was too risky. The dragon seal of the 9 underworlds was his greatest secret, and he had never told anyone about it. Even an idiot would know that this underworld divine character was related to the dragon seal of the 9 underworlds. Unless it was a critical moment, he naturally would not use it. 1,000th of the absolute power of a divine character can reach hundreds of June, which is equivalent to the basic power of an expert in the rank 9 true spirit. Even if an expert in the celestial realm uses it, it will be greatly enhanced, making it even stronger. Long Yu thought to himself and had a rough idea of the power of the divine character. The power of the divine character was similar in nature to the power of the laws of heaven and earth, but it was much stronger. Even the power of laws of the heavenly crystal level, which he had never seen before, might not be comparable to the divine character. Wang Changfeng said that if I want to leave the Heavenly Mandate continent, I must comprehend the laws of the heavenly crystal level. But Northern Sky First Academy has already comprehended the power of the divine character, but he is still unable to leave the Heavenly Mandate continent. What is going on? Long Yu pondered as he walked, and he was somewhat puzzled. However, these things, as his martial arts realm improved, would be understood one day. Since he could not understand it now, then he would not think about it for now. The second stage of the Heavenly Mandate Sacred Selection is the challenge of the Beast Garden. Xuanji Shanhai said as he led the way. In our Northern Academy of the Heavenly Mandate Realm, there is an 88-star Beast Garden, where many strange beasts from different dimensions are imprisoned. These strange beasts are different from the demonic cultivators of our Heavenly Mandate continent. Strange beasts from different dimensions? When Long Yu heard this, he found it a little strange. This 88-star Beast Garden seemed to have many tricks up its sleeves. Of course, you have not yet joined the Northern Academy of the Heavenly Mandate Realm, so you cannot step into the 88-star Beast Garden, and you will certainly not be able to defeat the strange beasts in the Beast Garden. Xuanji Shanhai then said, the second stage of the Heavenly Mandate Sacred Selection is to select some of the weaker strange beasts on the periphery of the Beast Garden for you challenge. The strength of these strange beasts is divided into 3 levels. The higher the level of the strange beast you can defeat, the higher the overall score you will receive. When they heard this, the eyes of those who had reached the celestial realm all lit up. In that case, this stage was tailor-made for them. The strange beasts that the celestial realm warriors could defeat were naturally of a higher level. However, the corners of Xuanji Shanhai's mouth curled up slightly. Don't be too happy too early. The 5 levels of strange beasts are relative to the same level of cultivation. In other words, you need to challenge the strange beasts of the same level of cultivation according to your own martial arts realm. For example, the genius of the heavenly cloud sword nation, Ji Tianqi, is currently in the celestial realm. With the cultivation of a human origin realm, he must challenge strange beasts of the human origin realm. Long Yu of the Tang Empire, who has just broken through to the rank 8 true spirit realm, only needs to challenge strange beasts of the rank 8 true spirit realm. This example invisibly drew a lot of hatred for Long Yu, who asked him to have the lowest cultivation and only need to challenge the weakest strange beasts. There's a question. Among the more than 400 people, almost immediately someone raised a question. Senior Xuanji, what kind of space are you talking about? Why are there strange beasts in those spaces, and why are they caught by us? For these questions, Xuanji Shanhai would naturally answer. A space is a space that does not belong to our world. Not only does it not belong to our heavenly mandate continent, but it does not even belong to the space where our heavenly mandate continent is located. Even if you leave the heavenly mandate continent, you will not encounter such strange beasts. Such strange beasts have a completely different body structure from us, but the division of cultivation strength is not much different from ours. When you see them later, you will know what these strange beasts are. As for why they were caught by us, this you do not need to know for now. Perhaps after you join the Northern Academy of the Heavenly Mandate Continent, someone will tell you. After answering these questions, Xuanji Shanhai's footsteps stopped. What appeared in front of the crowd was another manor surrounded by clouds and mist. At first glance, it looked ethereal, but everyone could feel the strange bloody aura coming from inside the manor. This aura is indeed completely different from demonic beasts or demonic cultivators. Just sensing these strange auras was enough to make many people shiver in fear, and each of them shivered. Even among the more than 400 people, there were 50 or 60 demonic cultivators at this moment. All of them looked a little strange. They were all very curious about what kind of creature was imprisoned in this manor. This time, there is no order for the strange beast challenge. Who will go first? Xuanji Shanhai turned around and glanced at the crowd. I will go first. Many people volunteered, and Xuanji Shanhai randomly picked a martial arts cultivator in the 9th true spirit realm. This young man came from a small country similar to the Tang Empire, Shuilan Nation. He wore a gray shirt and looked strong and capable. Everyone knew that the first to perform was most likely to catch Xuanji Shanhai's attention, but of course, the premise was that they had to perform well. If they did not perform well, they would be shooting themselves in the foot. Long Yu narrowed his eyes and was ready to observe. In the first round, they spent 7 days to comprehend the power of the divine text, which could be said to be a small test. But now, this strange beast challenge, as the second round of the Heavenly Mandate Sacred Institute, could let everyone show their combat strength. The better the performance, the higher the score. However, if they used all their strength in this round, when there was a battle round, wouldn't their opponents see through their routines? Whether they want a higher score or to preserve their combat strength. It was all up to them. Not to mention others. Long Yu definitely would not use all his combat strength. What he wanted to challenge was only the strange beast in the 8th true spirit realm. Even if it was the strongest of the 3 levels, he probably would not need to use all his strength. Under the gazes of more than 400 people, Xuanji Shanhai asked the gray-clothed youth from Shuilan Nation, "Your martial Dao realm is the rank 9 true spirit. Then you can choose to challenge the lower rank 9, middle rank 9, or upper rank 9 strange beasts." I have to remind you that the strength of the upper 9 strange beasts can even compete with the experts who have just entered the celestial secret realm. Do not bite off more than you can chew. Chapter 320. Xuanji Shanhai's words shocked the 400 people present. The strange beasts with the strength of the rank 9 true spirit were actually divided into 3 different levels: low, middle, and high. Among them, the strength of the upper 9 true spirit beasts was actually able to fight against experts who had just stepped into the heaven realm. This meant that challenging the middle 9 true spirit realm beasts was the choice of most people. I choose to challenge the middle 9 true spirit realm beasts. Sure enough, the young man from Shuelan Nation said to Xuanji Shanhai. Okay. Xuanji Shanhai nodded lightly. Nothing could be seen from his expression. You can enter the manor. As for the others, you can only watch from afar. You're not allowed to step into the manor. After saying those words, Xuanji Shanhai raised his hand and took the initiative to lead the gray-clothed young man into the manor. The young man was obviously nervous. After all, he had never heard of or seen an exotic beast from the alternate dimension. No one knew what kind of existence it was. Not only that, the beast he chose to challenge was a mid-tier 9th tier exotic beast. Exotic beasts were divided into lower, middle, and upper 9 true spirit realm beasts for no reason. There must be a big difference between each level. Exotic beasts of the upper 9 true spirit realm could compete with experts of the Empyrean secret realm. Although they might not be able to win, it was enough to prove their strength. Then, what about the middle 9 true spirit realm beasts? The young man in gray knew that he was facing a great challenge. Under the gazes of more than 400 people, Xuanji Shanhai led the gray-clothed youth into the manor. Soon, they were shrouded by white clouds, and the figures of the two became indistinct. Soon, the two stopped about 100 zhang into the manor. Xuanji Shanhai waved his hand. 2 people who seemed to be the managers of the 88 Star Beast Garden appeared in front of the crowd, dragging a large crystal cage. This is the exotic beast from the alternate dimension. When the 400 people saw it, they were all shocked. Even Ji Tianxi, Eater Gentleman, Reverence Eagle, and the other celestial beings were no exception. Even Long Yu opened his eyes wide. He did not expect the exotic beast from the alternate dimension to be like this. Inside the crystal beast cage, there were a few things that looked like withered branches. They were twisted together. They had no heads, no tails, no mouths, and no eyes. It was just a few withered branches stacked together, giving off an extremely strange feeling. Thinking back to what Xuanji Shanhai had said at the very beginning, that the strange beasts in the alternate space had a completely different structure from the creatures of the heavenly mandate continent and even the divine battle world, everyone finally understood what he meant. As if it had sensed something, the exotic beast formed from the withered tree branches suddenly wriggled and extended countless branches, directly climbing out of the crystal beast cage. The battle began almost immediately. The gray-clothed young man from Shuelan country was also taken aback when he saw such a monster. However, he quickly calmed himself down and a solemn expression appeared on his face. He was very close and could clearly feel that the strength of the tree-like exotic beast was definitely no weaker than his. In fact, it might even be a little stronger. Wave after wave of overbearing energy fluctuations instantly erupted from the battlefield. Apart from the Zhuangyuan, more than 400 people were observing the situation inside the cage, and their hearts sank. The combat style of the withered tree exotic beast was different from anything they had seen before. Thousands of withered branches danced continuously, and they were extremely agile. No matter how strong the attack of the young man from Shuelan country was, it was completely absorbed by the withered branches. He could not even destroy a single withered branch. However, the attacks of the withered tree exotic beast were extremely cunning and ruthless. From the beginning to the end, the exotic beast had only launched 2 attacks. However, both attacks were aimed at the weak points of the young man from Shuelan country and pierced through his lower abdomen and chest. The entire battle was almost one-sided. The strength of the withered tree exotic beast of the intermediate 9th tier was extremely terrifying. Most of the 400 people outside were afraid. You've lost. Xuanji Shanhai raised his hand, and a powerful force subdued the withered tree exotic beast and threw it back into the crystal beast cage. 4 Xuanji Shanhai of the heavenly being's secret land a withered tree exotic beast that had not yet reached the oneness of heaven and man realm, was completely vulnerable. He could subdue it with a wave of his hand. However, for the young man from Shuelon country, the withered tree exotic beast was like a nightmare. If he could not defeat the exotic beast, he would not be able to get a score. The young man from Shuelon country gritted his teeth and dragged his injured body out of the manor. Soon, an alchemist from the Heavenly Mandate Institute delivered a special elixir. It seemed that ordinary elixir could not cure the injuries of the withered tree exotic beast. The only thing that could be done was to use the healing elixir made from the body parts of the exotic beast. Long Yu, what level of exotic beast are you going to challenge? Yin Huanma looked at the withered tree exotic beast, and her face turned a little pale. Of course, she could tell that the strength of the intermediate 9th-tier exotic beast was much stronger than that of an ordinary martial cultivator of the same level. I don't know. Let's watch a few more battles. Long Yu narrowed his eyes and shook his head. He had never come into contact with exotic beasts that came from an alternate dimension, so it would not do him any good to enter the arena now. In the first round of comprehending the divine text, Long Yu did not get score. Now, in the second round, he had to surpass the others and get the highest score. After all, the Heavenly Mandate Sacred Selection was an important stop on the path of martial arts. Since Long Yu was participating, he naturally had to do his best. As such, he had to observe a few more times to see if the exotic beasts were all the same or if they were divided into different types. The more he observed, the more he would learn. Brother Long, I finally have a chance to talk to you. Ha! Suddenly, a laugh came from the side, causing Long Yu to look over. It was the handsome young man, Tian Yutian, and with him was his brother, Lu Xiao. Brother Tian, you really did get a place. I saw you just now, but I didn't say hello. Long Yu smiled. Tian Yutian's strength was definitely one of the best among the experts in the rank 9 true spirit. If even Tian Yutian could not get a place to participate in the Heavenly Mandate Sacred Selection, it would be too disappointing. The North Sea Kingdom had a total of 32 places to participate in the Heavenly Mandate Sacred Selection, of which 24 had been taken by various sects, such as the 10,000 Arrows clan. Tian Yutian and Lu Xiao must have fought for the remaining 8 public places. Haha, it's fine, it's fine. Tian Yutian waved his hand, and then his expression became slightly solemn. I wonder if Brother Long has any understanding of the exotic beasts in this alternate dimension? I can't tell for now, but we don't have to rush. Let's just wait and see. Long Yu said. I think so too. Tian Yutian and Lu Xiao both agreed. Not only them, but almost all of the 400 people present had the same thought. Originally, some people volunteered to win the favor of the senior from the Northern Academy of Heavenly Mandate Realm. But after seeing what happened to the young man from Shuelon Kingdom, no one was willing to stand out. They had originally thought that the exotic beasts from the alternate dimension were things that they could trample on, but they did not expect that their strength was so terrifying. Xuanji Shanhai came out of the manor and asked with a smile, I wonder who would like to be the second? I'll say this first, the scoring for this round is not absolute, but by me and 4 seniors from the other sacred academies. What this meant was that it was not a hard and fast rule that one would get a certain number of points by defeating the exotic beast they had chosen. Instead, it was based on the performance, and the scoring would be done by the judges. There were a total of 5 judges. Apart from Xuanji Shanhai himself, there were 4 others, the supervisors from the South Academy, the East Academy, the West Academy, and the Central Sacred Academy. Now I announce that the young man from Shuelon Kingdom has received a score of 1 point. Xuanji Shanhai announced after averaging the scores. He actually received a score of 1 point. In fact, this person's performance was not outstanding, but because he was the first to fight, his courage is commendable, so we all decided to reward him with 1 point as a sign of encouragement. Xuanji Shanhai said with a smile. As soon as these words left his mouth, the remaining 400 or so people's minds became active. However, before they could make up their minds, Xuanji Shanhai continued. All of us martial practitioners are pressed for time, so let's not waste any more time. Since you do not take the initiative to stand out, then next, according to the martial arts realm, from the lowest to the highest, come up one by one. Long Yu, who has just stepped into the 8th true spirit, you come up. The moment he finished speaking, the 400-plus people started to gloat over his misfortune. Unexpectedly, it was Long Yu who was called out. This made many people believe that Long Yu did not seem to have received any preferential treatment, but he was called out to be a guinea pig, which was so satisfying. Especially some of the martial practitioners, who did not like Long Yu to begin with. At this moment, they were even more gloating. This kid, let it be arrogant. Now let's see what level of beast you can challenge. Don't get eaten until there are no bones left, haha. The little prince of Gumeng Kingdom, Meng Duo Kai, laughed the happiest. Now that he said this, his score was not deducted by Xuanji Tianqian. After all, it was freedom of speech, and Long Yu was not breaking through, so it did not disturb his cultivation. This kid caused more than 10 people from Chi Dragon Kingdom to be deducted 1 point. Now that he has been pulled out to fight, retribution really came fast. Let's take a closer look. The beast in this space is not simple. This Long Yu is the second to fight. With the previous person's lesson, he will definitely not dare to choose to challenge the middle rank beast. That's good. We have already seen the strength of the middle rank beast. Now let's see the strength of a lower rank beast. It is not bad. The people from Chi Dragon Kingdom whispered, all of them treating Long Yu as a guinea pig about to be experimented on. Chapter 3:21. Watching Long Yu walk out of the crowd step by step, the surrounding people all looked at him like he was a lab rat and began to whisper, Long Yu, be careful. A woman's soft voice came from where Long Yu passed. Long Yu looked sideways and saw that it was Chu Huang, the princess of the royal family, who was smiling and talking to him. I will. Thank you very much. Long Yu nodded and raised his head to look at Xuanji Shanhai. More than 400 people, including Xuanji Shanhai and the 4 supervisors, all focused their eyes on Long Yu with some curiosity and expectation, wanting to see what level of exotic beast he would choose. Long Yu, you have to think carefully. Once you make a choice, you can't change it. Xuanji Shanhai said, lightly with a playful look in his eyes. Upper-level exotic beast. Long Yu said, what? Xuanji Shanhai was stunned, as if he did not hear clearly. I mean, I choose to challenge an upper-level 8 exotic beast. Why? Is there a problem? Long Yu said lightly. Of course, he knew that this Xuanji Shanhai must have something to do with Xuanji Tianqian, who had snatched the little fox. He might even be Xuanji Tianqian's elder. In this way, there was no need for him to be polite with Xuanji Shanhai, even if the other party was the host of the Heavenly Mandate Sacred Selection. Of course, since you have chosen an upper-level 8 exotic beast, then don't regret it. Come with me. Xuanji Shanhai hid a hint of mockery on his face, but on the surface he did not show it. He led Long Yu into the manor. Not only Xuanji Shanhai, but the more than 400 people outside were all surprised. Upper-level exotic beast? This Long Yu really dared to choose. Didn't he see that the young man of the rank 9 true spirit from Shuilon country was seriously injured by a middle-level exotic beast? This Long Yu has clearly just stepped into the rank 8 true spirit, and he probably hasn't even grasped his own basic strength. Yet he actually chose to challenge a superior beast. What a fantasy. That's right. These exotic beasts from the alternate dimension are not so simple. Even a middle-level exotic beast is much stronger than a martial cultivator of the same level, not to mention a high-level exotic beast. The way I see it, this Long Yu is most likely just trying to show off. After all, whether or not he gets a score doesn't depend on whether or not he can defeat the exotic beasts. For example, didn't that fellow from the state of Shuilon also get a score? That's right. This Long Yu directly challenged a high-tier exotic beast. Perhaps the judges will look at him differently and give him points for his courage. Haha. Most people began to laugh at Long Yu's choice. Only those who knew Long Yu didn't say anything. As for those who were friends with Long Yu, they all frowned slightly. Long Yu is too impulsive. Chu Huang, who was wearing a snow-white silk robe, shook his head, and said to Yin Huanma, "That's not necessarily true." Tian Yutian smiled. Based on my understanding of Long Yu, he wouldn't make such a choice without absolute confidence. Now, we just need to see how he teaches that exotic beast a lesson. What's the point of complimenting your friend like that? Yu Qianing snorted in disdain. I'd like to see what kind of expression you'll have when he's defeated by the exotic beast. I'm also looking forward to seeing what kind of expression you'll have on your face when he defeats that exotic beast. Tian Yutian didn't back down and retorted, "Haha, what a joke. If this kid can defeat a high-tier exotic beast, then it must mean that it's not that strong." Yu Qianing smiled disdainfully. "Friend, there's no need to bicker with this kind of person. Why don't we take a closer look at how Long Yu deals with the exotic beast?" Yin Huanma didn't even look at Yu Qianing and said to Tian Yutian. Tian Yutian nodded. "That's true. Long Yu wasn't weak even before he reached the unity of true spirit realm. Now that he's in the 8th true spirit realm, he's definitely stronger than I imagined." Then, everyone turned their gaze to Long Yu, who had just stepped into the manor. Looking at Long Yu's back, there were many people who were cursing him. This human is too arrogant. It's best if he's killed by that high-tier exotic beast." Among a group of demon cultivators from the Soul Valley Demon Kingdom, a pair of sword-like wings spread out from the Gue Valley Wing envoy, Sword Wing, snorted at Hong Yu. "It's best if he doesn't." A cold light flashed in the eyes of the rainbow-winged Hong Yu. "This human killed Zi Gon of our clan. It'd be too much of a pity if he died in the hands of a high-tier exotic beast. It'd be best if we could take revenge ourselves." "You're right. My sword doesn't mind slashing him again." Sword Wing's eyes flashed with an ominous glint. "Last time, he was lucky enough to survive. This time, I won't give him any chance." On the other side, a total of 4 to 5 disciples from the 10,000 Arrows sect from the Northern Sea Kingdom were gathered together. "Junior brother Su Qiangyi, I heard that this Long Yu killed your rank 9 true Spirit City Guard commander in your hometown, Border City. Is that true? This matter has already spread." "Of course it's true. Speaking of this, a 9th true Spirit Layer City Guard Army vice commander actually lost to a brat. This is really funny. Haha, most of the people from Border City are just idiots. Of course, our junior brother Su Qiangyi is talented. He will definitely be able to take revenge for his City Guard commander in this Saints election." The mockery and ridicule made Su Qiangyi extremely unhappy. "Don't talk about our Border City. Didn't our 10,000 Arrows sect suffer a lot at the hands of that brat?" Su Qiangyi coldly snorted. Even senior brother Qiong fell to this brat's hands. In comparison, a mere City Guard commander in our Border City is nothing. Su Qiangyi clearly did not have a good relationship with these 10,000 Arrows sect disciples. Both sides continued to argue, and at the same time, their anger towards Long Yu grew deeper and deeper. If they were given the chance, they would definitely not hesitate to make a move against Long Yu and get rid of him. Long Yu did not pay much attention to the situation outside the manor. He followed Xuanji Shan high into the manor and felt an even denser and strange aura assaulting his face. This aura does not seem to exist in this world. It seems like the strange beasts that come from another dimension have a completely different body structure from us. Long Yu frowned slightly. He did not choose to challenge a superior beast without thinking. Originally, when he was at the rank 7 True Spirit, he could fight against Urian, who was at the rank 9 True Spirit, and even a rank 9 expert like Tian Yutian. Now that he had stepped into the rank 8 True Spirit, even if he were to fight against Tian Yutian, it would be relatively easy. With this kind of strength, it shouldn't be a problem for him to deal with a rank 8 True Spirit beast, right? Ever since Long Yu had stepped onto the martial path, he had never suffered a loss against an opponent of the same level. This strange beast from another dimension would most likely not be able to make Long Yu suffer a loss. Since that was the case, there was no need for Long Yu to be a coward, and he directly chose to challenge the superior beast. Not long after, 2 guards of the 88-star Beast Garden came out with another crystal beast cage. Long Yu raised his head to take a look, only to see that amidst the lingering clouds, The strange beast in the crystal beast cage was still the same strange beast that had appeared before, with withered branches intertwining together. Get ready. As Xuanji Shanhai spoke, he raised his hand, and a tyrannical force surged out, opening the crystal beast cage in an instant. He said that he was ready, but he did not give Long Yu any chance to prepare, and directly released the strange beast. Long Yu had just felt the heart-palpitating aura emitted by the strange beast, and was about to face the fierce beast's attack. If it was anyone else, they might not be able to react in time and be injured by the strange beast. But who was Long Yu? How could he panic just because of small action from Xuanji Shanhai? Imperial Water Vortex. Long Yu raised his hand, and 9 water vortexes condensed. Due to the surrounding clouds and mist, the speed at which he used the water manipulation martial skill was extremely fast, and it was condensed in an instant. The 9 water vortexes instantly surged towards the withered branch beast that had crawled out of the crystal beast cage. During this process, Long Yu finally had the time to carefully observe the withered branch beast. He discovered that this thing really did not have any eyes, ears, mouth, or nose, but there were small holes on its withered branches. This kind of strange beast should be relying on the small holes on its withered branches to breathe, maintain its life, or sense the situation around it. It looks like an octopus, Long Yu thought. Compared to an octopus, the withered branch beast in front of him was only missing a head, and its limbs were all withered branches. At first glance, it looked like a pile of dry firewood. The 9 water vortexes quickly collided with the withered branch beast. With such a tyrannical power, if it was an ordinary rank 8 true spirit martial cultivator, even if it was a rank 9 true spirit martial cultivator, they might not be able to withstand it. When Long Yu stepped into the rank 8 true spirit, his basic strength had doubled. Adding on the transformation of the 9 dragon seal, his casual attack was several times stronger than before. However, facing these 9 water vortexes, the withered branch beast acted as if it did not see them at all. Instead, it charged towards the water vortexes. At this moment, Long Yu became vigilant. He raised his hand and quickly formed a layer of yellow springs barrier, blocking his entire body. If the water vortex was useless against this withered branch beast, then it would be useless for Long Yu to use the Imperial Water Curtain to defend himself. Thus, he chose to use the Yellow Springs Barrier. The Yellow Springs Barrier was formed from the 9 Hells Chi. In terms of strangeness and eeriness, it was definitely better than this withered branch beast in front of him. The following situation was as Long Yu had expected. The withered branch beast passed through the 9 water vortexes, but did not suffer any damage at all. Those withered branch-like limbs continued to squirm, actually dispersing the tyrannical power of the water vortexes. The Imperial Water Vortex was completely useless against this withered branch beast. This is the Imperial Water martial skill. What does this child have to do with the 7 Calamities star? Xuanji Shanhai watched from the side and immediately narrowed his eyes. It's a pity that no matter what, this Imperial Water martial skill is useless against the strange beast of the withered branch race. Just as he thought of this, a scene that shocked him appeared. The withered branch beast easily broke through the Imperial Water Vortex and originally wanted to launch a sneak attack on Long Yu. But right at this moment, the Yellow Springs Barrier that was instantly formed in front of Long Yu seemed to have caused the withered branch beast to instantly become afraid, as it let out an ear-piercing hissing sound. It seems like the 9 Hells Chi is able to restrain this thing. Chapter 3:22. The Netherworld Chi condensed into a tyrannical stream of air and struck towards the withered tree beast. The withered tree beast moved its body and quickly retreated backwards. Its speed was actually even faster than when Long Yu used the Dragon Sparrow dance. The strength of this strange beast indeed far surpasses that of an ordinary rank 8 true spirit martial cultivator. Long Yu thought in his heart. It's just that my strength is also not something that an ordinary rank 8 true spirit martial cultivator can compare to. Not to mention, The netherworld chi is also able to restrain this strange beast. Looks like defeating this thing is only a matter of time. The drunken Yellow Springs fist was not able to kill the withered tree beast. When Long Yu's fist landed, the withered tree beast retreated at an extremely fast speed. Even the invisible and formless spirit of the Yellow Springs was unable to restrain it, which showed how fast it was. However, when a withered tree beast felt the netherworld chi on Long Yu's body, after its initial fear, it developed an emotion similar to hatred. It had an even greater desire to kill Long Yu. Countless withered branches extended out, enveloping Long Yu from all directions. Awakening samsara, Long Yu punched out. The power of samsara surrounded all the withered branches, weakening their power by more than half. Immediately after, he used the Yellow Springs barrier to block all the attacks from the withered branches. The angle of the withered tree beast's attack was extremely crafty, but unfortunately, Long Yu's Yellow Springs barrier's defense was omnidirectional. No matter what angle the attack came from, it was unable to break through the defense. To be able to fight with me for so long, you can indeed be said to be the king of the rank 8 true spirit. Long Yu narrowed his eyes. After such a long battle, he roughly understood the methods of the withered tree beast in front of him. It was nothing more than using those withered branches to carry out some extremely crafty assassinations. Due to the netherworld chi restraining him, Long Yu had the upper hand in the battle. The opponent's attacks were completely useless against him. It's time to end this. In the end, Long Yu punched out, and the netherworld chi exploded, condensing into a pillar of chi that exploded from the center, blasting the withered branch strange beast into several pieces. This scene caused the expressions of everyone, including Xuanji and Shanhai, to change. Long Yu actually won, and won so easily. Xuanji Shanhai, the 2 caretakers of the 88-star Beast Garden, and the 4 supervisors of the other Heavenly Mandate Academies were all in disbelief, because they knew very well how much stronger a high-rank beast strength was than a martial cultivator of the same level. It could be said that if there was a high-rank exotic beast with the same martial realm as Bei Tianyi, even Bei Tianyi wouldn't be able to deal with it so easily. But now, Long Yu had done something that even the Academy Master couldn't do. This kid, Xuanji Shanhai, narrowed his eyes. He was very clear that since Long Yu dealt with the upper 8th-tier withered branch strange beast so easily, it meant that Long Yu's true strength had long surpassed the 8th tier of the true spirit secret realm. Even a martial cultivator of the rank 9 true spirit couldn't completely suppress Long Yu. This immediately changed Xuanji Shanhai's opinion of Long Yu. Originally, he thought that Long Yu was just an ordinary martial cultivator of the rank 8 true spirit, but now it seemed that this kid was completely different from ordinary people. It's a waste of my effort to leave a place for him in the Tang Empire, Xuanji Shanhai thought to himself. The one who ordered that Long Yu must participate in the Heavenly Mandate Sacred Selection was Xuanji Shanhai. It was also him who wanted to see Long Yu embarrass himself in the Heavenly Mandate Sacred Selection and find a chance to kill Long Yu. If one were to say what kind of enmity he had with Long Yu, it would be a lot. 10 points. I'll also give 10 points. Soon, the 4 supervisors from the other academies gave their scores to Long Yu's battle. They were all seniors of the Heavenly Mandate Sacred Academy, so of course they knew the strength of the upper-level strange beasts. It was not an exaggeration to give 10 points to Long Yu for being able to defeat the beast. If 10 points were not the full score, they would probably give even higher points. Unfortunately, that would not be in line with the rules. Hearing that all 4 gave 10 points, Xuanji Shanhai had no choice but to give 10 points as well. Although he was not happy to see Long Yu like this, objectively speaking, Long Yu's performance was indeed worthy of 10 points. If Xuanji Shanhai was biased and did not give 10 points, he would not only be offending one person, but 4 seniors from the other 4 academies. These 4 fellows came to supervise the sacred selection process of the Northern Academy of Heavenly Mandate Sacred Selection to prevent unfair situations. If Xuanji Shanhai showed any bias, There was no doubt that the four would use it against him. I'll let you be complacent for now. Anyway, you will not be the final winner of the sacred selection of the heavenly mandate sacred selection. Xuanji Shanhai thought to himself and announced that Long Yu had received 10 points. Suddenly, the more than 400 people gathered outside the 88-star Beast Garden were all excited. 10 points? Long Yu actually received 10 points. 10 points is so easy to get. That's too easy. That's right. It seems that the upper-level 8 Strange Beast is not that great. Later, I will also try the upper-level Strange Beast. Look at how easy it is for Long Yu. In that case, the boy from Shuilan country must be a piece of trash. He can't even beat a middle-level Strange Beast. That's right. I thought this ugly Strange Beast would be strong. Among the more than 400 people, most people were relaxed. They were talking and laughing. Hearing these people's words, Tian Yutian, Lu Xiao, Yin Huan, and Mo, and others who knew about Long Yu's strength smiled casually. Of course, they knew that the reason why Long Yu looked so easy in this battle was not because the ugly, withered Strange Beast was too weak, but because Long Yu was too strong. It was just that when Long Yu fought with the withered Strange Beast, he was too far away from the crowd. No one could feel the fluctuations of power, and this caused others to have a wrong estimation of the Strange Beast's strength. Next, Xuanji Shanhai glanced at the crowd, and his eyes moved back and forth on the dozens of people in the rank 8 True Spirit Realm. I'll do it. A disciple of the rank 8 True Spirit Realm from the 10,000 Arrows sect stood up with an arrogant and confident smile in his eyes. I choose to challenge the upper-level Strange Beast. Obviously, this kid was not convinced that Long Yu had defeated the upper-level Strange Beast. Since Long Yu could do it, then he, as a genius disciple of the 10,000 Arrows sect, would definitely have no problem. As Long Yu walked out of the manor, he could not help but smile when he heard that the disciple of the 10,000 Arrows sect had made the same choice as him. It seemed that this kid was in for a hard time. In the depths of the Northern Academy of the Heavenly Mandate Realm, in a place far away from the 88-star Beast Garden, there were several small halls floating in the outer space beyond the 11th level of the Heavenly Star. These small halls were not built together with the palace of the Northern Academy of the Heavenly Mandate Realm, but they still belonged to the Northern Academy of the Heavenly Mandate Realm. And the Northern Academy Master, Bei Qiani, who had just left the Northern Academy of the Heavenly Mandate Realm, appeared at the door of one of the small halls. Yu Yao, Bei Qiani, dressed in a white robe, stood at the door and called out lightly. There were several courtyards in the floating hall. The scenery was quiet, and the clouds and mist lingered like a fairyland. Even for martial cultivators, it was a very happy thing to be able to live in it. Logically speaking, with Bei Qiani's status, who would dare to refuse him? It was a pity that he was now calling his daughter Bei Yu Yao. There was not the slightest movement in the hall, which made Bei Qiani a little angry. Yu Yao, don't you want to see your son? Bei Qiani snorted coldly and said directly. As soon as he said this, there was finally movement in the hall. A purple cloud floated over, and then a hazy figure dressed in light purple appeared in the lingering clouds inside the hall. Although her face could not be seen clearly, it was definitely a beautiful woman who could tempt all living beings. Master, is my son participating in the Heavenly Mandate sacred selection? The woman's voice was faint, without joy or sorrow, making it impossible to judge her emotions. You should still call me Master. Bei Qiani sighed. Are you not the Master? The woman asked in return. Let's not talk about this today. Bei Qiani waved his hand and continued. Your son really did come to participate in the Heavenly Mandate sacred selection. It's a pity that he has just entered the 8th tier of the True Spirit. Even now, you still don't believe what I said back then? You said that my son's martial arts talent was definitely not good, that he was not even qualified to enter the Northern Academy of the Heavenly Mandate Realm, right? The woman asked lightly. That's right, that's what I said. Bei Qiani said coldly. Now the truth is right in front of you. Do you still not believe it? The results are not out yet, are they? The woman's tone was indifferent, and she was not affected by Bei Qiani's words at all. although they are not out yet. Yu Yao, with your son's cultivation of the 8th tier of the true spirit, how do you think he can be in the top 12 of the heavenly mandate sacred selection? Bei Tianyi said lightly. You say he is my son, but don't forget, he is also your grandson, the woman said. You better give up. Bei Tianyi, will never recognize him as my grandson. Bei Tianyi snorted. Since you trust him so much, how about we make a bet? I like the bet. The woman laughed softly. If he cannot pass the heavenly mandate sacred selection, then you must forget about that man. Bei Tianyi thought of that man, the man who took away the happiness of his daughter's life, and he could not help but feel angry. If he passes, you must let me go. I'm but a fine Long Zaiyan. The woman's tone was rather firm. This bet is very fair, isn't it? I'm just afraid that you will regret it when the time comes. Don't worry, Bei Tianyi, will never go back on my words. Bei Tianyi snorted coldly and turned to leave the small hall floating in the air. The hazy figure of the woman in the hall was once again hidden in the lingering clouds, disappearing without a trace. No one else knew what happened here, and Bei Yuyao probably did not know that someone was already planning to frame Long Yu in this heavenly mandate sacred selection. Chapter 323. Northern Academy of the Heavenly Mandate Realm, 88th Star Beast Garden. At the entrance, more than 400 genius martial arts practitioners watched the disciple of the 10,000 Arrows clan being carried out, covered in blood. None of them could believe it. This disciple of the 10,000 Arrows clan was a genius of the rank 8 true spirit. To be chosen by the 10,000 Arrows clan to participate in the heavenly mandate sacred selection, he must be a powerful existence. However, this disciple of the 10,000 Arrows clan chose to challenge the upper 8 withered branch exotic beast and was completely defeated by it. He did not even have a chance to fight back. This made people wonder if the withered branch exotic beast that was just released for Long Yu was really an upper-level exotic beast. If the people of the Northern Academy of the Heavenly Mandate Realm cheated, it was not impossible to release a lower-level exotic beast, and no one else would know. This is not fair. Long Yu dealt with the upper-level exotic beast so easily. How could this disciple of the 10,000 Arrows clan not have a chance to fight back? That's right. I think there must be something fishy. Maybe Long Yu did not deal with the upper-level exotic beast? That's right. Long Yu has just broken through to the rank 8 true spirit. How could he deal with an upper-level exotic beast so easily? In an instant, everyone realized that not only upper-level exotic beasts, but even middle-level exotic beasts were extremely difficult to deal with. And the reason why Long Yu was so relaxed just now must be because he was facing a lower-level exotic beast. A large group of people began to discuss and express their dissatisfaction. How stupid! Tian Yutian could not help but sneer as he listened to the noise around him. Brother Tian, don't pay attention to them. Long Yu smiled easily. If you go up later, you should have no problem challenging the middle-level exotic beast. As for the upper-level exotic beast, I'm afraid it will be a little difficult. But since the score is based on performance, Brother Tian can try to challenge the upper-level exotic beast. That's what I thought. Tian Yutian smiled and nodded. He knew very well that Long Yu was being chased by the 7 calamities in Soldier Demise City. If it were not for the City Lord of Soldier Demise City blocking the ingrate Lei Wenxing's men, Long Yu would have been long dead. If Long Yu had a backer in the Northern Academy of Heavenly Mandate, would this have happened? Tian Yutian didn't believe that the Northern Academy of Heavenly Mandate Realm would give Long Yu special treatment. Yin Huanma, Chu Huang, and others also knew that Long Yu had a hard journey. If he really had the Northern Academy of the Heavenly Mandate Realm behind him, how could he have had such a hard time before? He even lost his life a few times. However, there were always some people in this world who took things for granted. Yu Qianing was such a person. It is said that this Long Yu's mother was the Virgin of the Northern Academy of the Heavenly Mandate Realm. Yu Qianing stared at Long Yu with extreme jealousy and thought to herself, this time, His mother must have opened the back door for him to enter the heavenly mandate sacred selection. No, this heavenly mandate sacred selection. Even if I can't win, I can't let Long Yu enter. She was now looking forward to the actual combat segment. She clearly knew that Long Yu had many enemies among the 400 people participating in the heavenly mandate sacred selection. Once they entered the actual combat segment, there would be a chance to kill Long Yu. Once such an opportunity came, she would definitely not miss it. Hearing the discussions of the crowd, Xuanji Shanhai's already bad mood was suddenly ignited by the gossip. Shielding Long Yu? Giving Long Yu a lower rank exotic beast? Damn it! Xuanji Shanhai couldn't wait to take out the strongest exotic beast in the 88-star beast garden to directly kill Long Yu. How could he prepare a lower rank exotic beast for Long Yu and shield him? I repeat, this heavenly mandate sacred selection is hosted by me, Xuanji Shanhai. In addition, there are seniors from the other 4 academies supervising, so the process is absolutely fair. Xuanji Shanhai glanced at the crowd and said coldly, "If any of you think it is unfair, then you are doubting the conduct of the entire Heavenly Mandate Sacred Institute. If so, please withdraw from the Heavenly Mandate Sacred Selection immediately. We will not force you." As soon as these words were said, more than 400 people in the audience immediately quieted down. Xuanji Shanhai had already said this. What else did they dare say? Even if they still felt that Long Yu was shielded and had gone through the back door, they could not stand out and say anything. Otherwise, if they were disqualified from the Heavenly Mandate Sacred Selection, it would not be worth it. For a moment, those who were complaining all shut their mouths. What a bunch of idiots. The lone white-robed figure from Tianyun Sword Nation, Ji Tianxi, glanced at those people indifferently. He could see that Long Yu's strength was definitely not just an ordinary Tier 8 true spirit cultivation. Even if Long Yu could deceive these people, he could not deceive the seniors from the other 4 academies. Even if Long Yu had connections in the Northern Academy of Heavenly Mandate, it was impossible for the 4 seniors to speak on his behalf. It was known that the 5 academies of the Heavenly Mandate Sacred Institute had a competitive relationship. Unless they were facing a foreign enemy, it was impossible for them to unite. After Xuanji Shanhai said this, the crowd quieted down. The segment of challenging the exotic beasts continued. Next, I will go up. After the disciples of the 10,000 Arrows clan were brought out, Yin Huanma took the initiative to stand up and said, "I challenge the middle-level exotic beast." She had chosen to challenge a mid-tier exotic beast after careful consideration. No one had challenged a low-tier exotic beast before. If it was too weak, it wouldn't be able to unleash much of its strength, and the score wouldn't be too high. Yin Huanma felt that the middle-level exotic beast was more suitable for her. Soon, Yin Huanma and a withered exotic beast of the 8th tier of the medium level were fighting. Everyone was very interested in Yin Huanma's battle, because in the first segment of comprehending the divine character, Yin Huanma actually comprehended 1,000th of the power of the divine character fighting and got 10 points. After comprehending the power of the divine character, its combat effectiveness would obviously become much stronger than ordinary martial arts practitioners. Even if it was only 1,000th of the power of the divine character, it was already beyond the reach of ordinary martial arts practitioners. In the battle, Yin Huanma first displayed the black jade level ink field that she had comprehended. Unfortunately, the power of the law of heaven and earth at the black jade level could not deal with this withered exotic beast. Then, Yin Huanma had to display 1,000th of the power of the divine character fighting. Finally, after much effort, she seriously injured the exotic beast. Although it wasn't like Long Yu, who killed the demonic beast directly, it was still considered a victory for her. In the end, Yin Huanma got 6 points. Her performance in the battle was quite good, so she became the one with the highest overall score among the 400 people. Including the 10 points in the last segment of comprehending the divine character, she now had a total of 16 points. The power of the divine character is actually so terrifying. It would be great if I could also comprehend the divine character. Haha, out of 400 people, only 4 people comprehended 1,000th. Do you really think it's so easy to comprehend the divine character? Sigh, if I can't comprehend it in 7 days, I won't be able to comprehend it in this lifetime. Is my talent really not good enough? Seeing Yin Huanma getting 6 points and defeating the withered exotic beast, the crowd could not help but feel a little envious. However, being envious was just being envious. They still had to face the withered exotic beast one by one. I'll go next. Middle-level exotic beast. The next to go was Major General Man Xian from the ancient Ming Kingdom. This burly young man in beast-hide armor did not want to be outdone and chose to fight the middle-level exotic beast. Long Yu continued to pay attention to Man Xian's match. Man Xian's father, Man Yi, was an old general of the ancient Ming Kingdom. He had once given his head to Long Yu and asked Long Yu to bring it back to the Tang Pass to clear his name of treason. Therefore, Long Yu respected Man Xian very much. I can't sense any strong power from Man Xian. I'm afraid it will be more difficult for him to fight against the middle-level exotic beast. Long Yu thought to himself. What happened next was just as Long Yu had expected. Although Man Xian didn't lose immediately against the mid-tier exotic beast, it was extremely strenuous for him, and he was at a disadvantage the entire time. However, he was able to protect his vitals from the start to the end. Many wounds soon appeared all over his body, but these wounds were not fatal. He continued to fight proudly. He's going all out. As the spectators exclaimed one by one, Man Xian in the 88th Star Beast Garden actually began to fight with the withered exotic beast. Both sides were fighting in close quarters. Man Xian covered his entire body with qi, especially his fists, which were covered in a thick qi armor. He punched the withered exotic beast repeatedly. As for the withered exotic beast, countless withered branches danced all over its body and stabbed at Man Xian's body, creating one wound after another on his body. However, none of these wounds were fatal. Go to hell! Man Xian roared angrily. Then, he punched at the place where the withered exotic beast's branches intersected, shattering the entire creature into several pieces. After a fierce battle, Man Xian won, but his body was covered in wounds. The withered exotic beast had just been defeated, and Man Xian could not hold on any longer. He collapsed to the ground due to excessive blood loss. Immediately, an alchemist from the Northern Academy of the Heavenly Mandate Realm came to treat him. 8 points. 9 points. Everyone in the Xuanji Shanhai gave their scores. Although Man Xian used brute force and fought with his life on the line, the 5 judges had a good opinion of him. When martial arts cultivators met on a narrow path, the courageous one would win. Sometimes, martial arts cultivators not only relied on strength, but also courage, especially between opponents of similar strength. In the end, Man Xian received an overall score of 8 points, which made many people respect him. Everyone had witnessed the ferocity of the battle just now. Man Xian had no qualms about receiving the 8 points. At least, it was more acceptable than Long Yu's 10 points. It's so unfair. Elder Yin only got 6 points, and Man Z got 8 points. It's not fair, not fair, Tian Yutian said, shaking his head as he looked at the field. Don't talk so much. Lucio frowned and reminded him. The scoring was the Heavenly Mandate Sacred Institute's business. It was not Tian Yutian's place to speak. As a good brother, Lucio did not want Tian Yutian to be disqualified from the Heavenly Mandate Sacred Selection because of his nonsense. Haha, Brother Lu, you are still so cautious, but you are too nervous. Tian Yutian waved his hand, not taking it to heart at all. I was just complaining. I didn't ask them to change the score. Anyway, be careful. Chapter 3:24. Man Xian got 8 points, but he was heavily injured by the withered branch beast. If it wasn't for the fact that the Heavenly Mandate Academy had enough healing pills, these injuries would probably have a bad effect on his future cultivation. Following that, the other rank 8 true spirit martial cultivators began to choose their beasts to fight. These martial cultivators had always thought that they were the pride of the heavens, so of course they weren't willing to challenge the lower-level beasts. But in reality, not many people had the strength to defeat the middle-level beasts. The few people after man Xin all chose to challenge the middle-level beasts, but none of them were able to defeat the beasts. Instead, they were all covered in wounds by the beasts. It was only at this time that everyone realized that these beasts, even if they were at the middle level, were not easy to deal with. Finally, there were people who tried to challenge the lower-level beasts. Even when facing a lower-level beast, most martial cultivators might not be able to suppress it. Many people were even evenly matched with the lower-level beasts, so when they fought, they were able to unleash their full strength. Gradually, most people chose to challenge the lower-level beasts. As for those who challenged lower-level beasts, their final score wouldn't be too low. It was normal for them to get 3 to 5 points. If they failed to challenge a middle-level beast, they would only get 1 point or even not get a score. If he couldn't accurately estimate his own strength, this kind of martial cultivator would definitely suffer a lot on the path of martial arts. It was normal for his score to be low. Very quickly, over 100 rank 8 true spirit martial cultivators finished their challenges, followed by over 300 rank 9 true spirit martial cultivators. At this time, the atmosphere finally became even more enthusiastic. This was because the majority of the martial cultivators were at the level of the rank 9 true spirit. Next, they would be able to estimate the true strength of the others based on their own battles with the beasts. If they could observe carefully, it would definitely be beneficial for the next few rounds. I challenged the middle-level beasts. The princess of the Tang Empire, Chu Huang, wore a snow-white silk robe and stood out, taking the lead to challenge. All right, Xuanji Shan didn't have any prejudice against the other people who came from the Tang Empire. He extended his hand and brought Chu Huang into the manor. Very quickly, a withered branch beast of the middle 9th level was dragged out from the crystal beast cage. After fighting for so long, the exotic beasts that appeared were all withered branch exotic beasts like this. Their strange forms were nothing in the eyes of the crowd, because they were more or less familiar with them. Long Yu narrowed his eyes and carefully observed the battle between Chu Huang and the withered branch exotic beast. As a member of the Chu clan, Chu Huang had naturally cultivated the imperial scripture of spring and autumn. He had also comprehended the laws of the emperor domain. Compared to Yu Qianning, Chu Huang was much more adept at using these powers. The emperor's law is a mystic jade law, so its power is naturally extraordinary. Unfortunately, it's still not enough to deal with mid-tier exotic beasts. Long Yu thought. However, Chu Huang was, after all, a member of the Tang Empire's imperial family. Of course, he had cultivated all kinds of imperial martial skills to the point of perfection. A casual move of his was a transcendent spirit-level martial skill, Imperial Qi Heavenly Flow. Although this move couldn't defeat the mid-tier exotic beast, it prevented her from losing too quickly. Seeing that the situation wasn't looking good, Chu Huang could only use the Summoning Emperor Spirit Art. This was the signature profound level martial skill passed down from the Tang Empire's Imperial Chu clan. The moment the Great Sword Emperor's Golden Light Emperor Spirit appeared, a golden sword radiance swept across the field. The withered branch exotic beast was forced to retreat, and finally, it was completely destroyed by the Great Sword Tornado. In this battle, Chu Huang advanced step by step and fought extremely steadily. In the end, he obtained 7 points. I'll challenge the mid-tier exotic beast. After Chu Huang, Yu Qianning also chose to challenge the mid-tier exotic beast. The mental cultivation method and martial skills that she and Chu Huang practiced were all inherited from the Tang Empire's Imperial Chu clan. The Imperial Qi Heavenly Flow and the Summoning Emperor Spirit Art were the 2 most commonly used martial skills. Unfortunately, compared to Chu Huang, Yu Qianning was still lacking a bit. After all, she had just consumed the holy spring water and reached the rank 9 true spirit. She quickly realized that choosing to challenge the mid-tier exotic beast was a wrong decision. This was because her grasp of the rank 9 true spirit's basic strength wasn't perfect, and she couldn't control it as well as Chu Huang could. Therefore, she quickly fell into a disadvantageous position against the mid-tier exotic beast. In the end, even if she used the summoning Emperor spirit art and used the Great Sword Emperor and the Winged Emperor against the withered branch exotic beast, it didn't have much of an effect. If Xuanji Shanhai hadn't stopped her in time, the unwilling Yu Qining might have been killed by the exotic beast. 3 points. When the final score was out, Yu Qining's face turned green. Chu Huang was able to defeat the mid-tier exotic beast, but she, Yu Qining, was at a disadvantage from start to finish. This undoubtedly showed the difference in strength between them. Although they were both in the rank 9 true spirit martial path, Yu Qining's strength was only in the lower rank 9, while Chu Huang's strength was in the middle rank 9. I challenged the high-tier exotic beast. Tian Yutian stood out, and the moment he said that, everyone around him looked at him in a new light. It had been a long time since anyone challenged a high-tier exotic beast. The 10,000 Arrows sect's disciples looked at Tian Yutian and sneered. This guy actually chose to challenge a high-tier exotic beast. He's simply courting death. That's right. Didn't you hear Senior Xuanji say that an upper rank 9 exotic beast strength is comparable to an Empyrean realm expert? This idiot, does he really think he's on par with an Empyrean realm expert? The crowd burst into laughter. The 10,000 Arrows sect's disciples hated Tian Yutian to the core. They knew very well that their talented senior brother Yoqiong, who had cultivated the shadow binding arrow to an extremely high level, died in Tian Yutian's hands. Moreover, there was a grudge between Tian Yutian and the 10,000 Arrows sect, so this scene wasn't strange at all. When Tian Yutian stepped onto the stage, Xuanji Shanhai and the overseers exchanged glances and nodded. They could tell that Tian Yutian's strength was indeed strong. However, his strength was still dependent on his performance on the spot. The level that he could actually display was definitely different from what they had estimated. The upper rank 9 exotic beast was extremely ferocious. If Tian Yutian could defeat an upper rank 9 exotic beast, then he would undoubtedly qualify for the final 12 places. It's the Divine Monuments Law. No wonder this kid is so confident. When Tian Yutian displayed the purple light Divine Monuments Law in the manner, many people outside came to a sudden realization. Over 400 young geniuses participating in the Heavenly Mandate Sacred Selection came from different countries. Of course, most of them didn't know Tian Yutian, but from now on, they knew each other. Not only did they know him, but they also took Tian Yutian seriously. If they were to meet Tian Yutian in the later rounds, they must be careful. In the end, Tian Yutian managed to defeat the upper rank 9 exotic beast despite being injured. Long Yu nodded to himself. It seemed that Tian Yutian had not wasted his time. His control over the purple light Divine Monuments Law had become much more adept. 10 points. After Long Yu, Tian Yutian was the first person to obtain 10 points. Because of that, many people were wary of him. This person was definitely a strong contender for the final 12 places of the Heavenly Mandate Sacred Selection. After Tian Yutian, the young geniuses went up one by one to challenge the middle or lower rank beasts. Occasionally, there were martial artists who dared to challenge the upper rank beasts. Those who challenged the upper rank beasts were mostly people who were very confident in their strength, such as Tian Yutian. Among the 400 or so martial artists from the surrounding areas, there were naturally many geniuses like Tian Yutian who could defeat the upper rank beasts. Although none of them had it as easy as Long Yu, most of them had scored 10 points. These were strong contenders for the final 12 places. Long Yu carefully observed each person who went up to the arena. He was able to quickly familiarize himself with the fighting style and strength that most of them had displayed. However, there were also many who concealed their true strength, and Long Yu couldn't see through them. There was nothing he could do about it. I have to be careful of these people, Long Yu thought to himself. He also paid attention to martial artists who concealed their strength, such as Ling Longyu from the Tang Empire. When this veiled girl went up to the arena, Even Xuanji Shan Hai frowned slightly. Obviously, he couldn't see through her and guess her true strength. Linglong Yu had only challenged a mid-tier exotic beast. However, she managed to kill it effortlessly, earning her a score of 8 in the end. There were very few people who could defeat a middle-rank beast and get 8 points. Obviously, Xuanji Shan Hai and the others knew that Linglong Yu had concealed her strength. Among the people in the rank 9 true spirit, there were indeed many geniuses. Chu Huang from the Tang Empire couldn't be considered an expert among these geniuses. Among these people, Long Yu paid special attention to Sword Wing and Hong Yu from the Soaring Sky tribe. Hong Yu had obviously stepped into the rank 9 true spirit after Long Yu left the Soaring Sky tribe. His current strength was similar to Chu Huang's. Sword Wing, on the other hand, was much more stable. He had challenged an upper rank 9 beast and won with difficulty. Sword Wing actually has the strength to challenge an upper rank 9 beast. Long Yu narrowed his eyes. This meant that Sword Wing's strength was not much different from Tian Yutian's. If he met Sword Wing in the later rounds, he must not underestimate Gu Sword Wing. If he was not careful, he might die in his hands. More than 400 geniuses chose to fight with the beasts one by one. It took them a full 3 days to finish fighting them one by one. In the end, it was finally the turn of the young geniuses in the Heavenly Secret Realm to choose to challenge the beasts. 6 young geniuses who had stepped into the Heavenly Secret Realm. Each of them was a proud son of heaven. Of course, the beasts they challenged were all upper-rank beasts. The first to go up was Ji Tianqi from the Heavenly Cloud Sword Country. Ji Tianqi had just stepped into the Heavenly Secret Realm not long ago, but he was able to break through the astral wind of the 5th heaven. People couldn't help but sigh at his talent, but no one knew how strong his combat strength was. Chapter 325. Ji Tianqi from the Heavenly Cloud Sword Nation had already caught everyone's attention before the Heavenly Mandate Sacred Selection even began. This man was extremely talented. He was only in his early 20s, but he had already entered the secret plane of celestial beings. He was even able to break through the 5th level of the Celestial Spirit Shield in one fell swoop. Even the messengers of the Heavenly Mandate Sacred Institute were amazed. At this moment, Ji Tianqi was very confident in himself and directly chose to challenge a human origin high-rank beast. The Heavenly Human Secret Realm was not divided into 9 levels like the Body-Tempering Secret Realm and the True Spirit Secret Realm. Instead, it was divided into the Human Realm and the Heaven Realm. The Human Realm was divided into the Human Initial Realm, the Human Glory Realm, and the Human Tribulation Realm. The Human Initial Stage was the stage that martial cultivators who had just stepped into the arcane stage of the Heavenly Being Realm were at. Once the energy in their bodies was refined, they would be able to step into the Human Glory Stage, and their basic strength would increase by several folds. After the Human Glory Realm was the Human Tribulation Realm. In the Human Tribulation Realm, a cultivator would need to pass through the Human Tribulation. Once they succeeded, they would be able to step into the Heaven Realm and become an expert of the Heaven Realm. Although they were both in the Heaven Realm, the difference in strength between the Human Realm and the Heaven Realm could be said to be like heaven and earth. Ji Tianqi was a young genius at the Human Initial Stage. The white-robed emissary who went to the Tang Empire and brought Long Yu and the others to participate in the Heavenly Mandate Sacred Selection was also at the Human Initial Realm. After the Heavenly Being's Secret Realm, it was much more difficult to advance to the next level than the True Spirit Secret Realm. Because of this, most of the Heavenly Being's Secret Realm cultivators in the Northern Academy of Heavenly Mandate were only at the Human Initial Realm. As for Ji Tianqi, he was such a young initial mortal realm expert. If he was nurtured well, he could very well step into the Heavenly Realm in a few decades. It's a beast of the upper Human Initial Stage. You'd better be careful. Xuanji Shanhai was also quite appreciative of Ji Tianqi. He reminded him with a smile and led him into the manor. Everyone's gaze was attracted by Ji Tianqi, and Long Yu was no exception. He wanted to see how much of a difference there was between him and Ji Tianqi. It's almost impossible to defeat Ji Tianqi unless I release the true spirit of the dragon of 9 underworlds. Only then will there be some hope. But if I do that, the gains won't make up for the losses. Long Yu thought. Even though he wouldn't be able to defeat his opponent, he could at least see how big the gap between him and his opponent was. That way, he would have more leeway if he encountered certain situations in the next segment. Very soon, Ji Tianqi unleashed an extremely powerful sword technique against an early-stage upper-human withered branch exotic beast. In the Heavenly Cloud Sword Nation, most of the martial cultivators practiced swordsmanship. They had a deep understanding of swordsmanship, and the sword was an extremely aggressive weapon. Ji Tianqi's swordsmanship was as such. As he brandished his sword chi burst forth. Even the early-stage, upper-level withered tree exotic beast was no match for him. Under his constant sword chi attacks, it did not take long for the withered tree exotic beast to be chopped into dozens of pieces, completely annihilated. 10 points. Without a doubt, Ji Tianqi had obtained the highest score. Coupled with his 10 points in the first segment, he became the martial cultivator with the highest score. However, Ji Tianqi didn't really care about the score. After all, with his current strength, being selected to enter the Northern Academy of Heavenly Mandate was a given. There would be no accidents. After Ji Tianqi, the other 5 Heavenly Human Secret Realm Warriors went up one after another. The obese martial cultivator from the Heavenly Human Secret Realm, Master Eater, and the leader of the Dragon Donation, Shen Eagle, both chose exotic beasts of the early stage upper human and won. Judging from their battle, although they weren't as straightforward as Ji Tianqi, they still held back. Obviously, they didn't use all their strength. 10 points. The 3 Heavenly Human Secret Realm Warriors who challenged exotic beasts of the early stage upper human realm all received 10 points. There were also 3 Heavenly Human Secret Realm Warriors. One of them was from the Ice Origin Temple, which was a large force like the Heavenly Cloud Sword Nation, the North Sea Nation, and the Dragon Donation. Although they weren't called countries, their strength was comparable to that of a country. The Heavenly Human Secret Realm Warrior from the Ice Origin Temple was a woman named Xuelon. She wore a snow-white veil, so no one could see her face at all. However, Xuelon's strength couldn't be underestimated. Although it seemed to be a difficult victory for her to challenge exotic beasts of the early stage upper human realm, she still received 10 points. Most importantly, Long Yu always felt that Xuelon must have hidden her strength as well. The other 2 were the geniuses from the 2 great demon kingdoms. Soul Valley Demon Kingdom's Shadow Demon Royal Family, and Mo Shan. He looked like a pitch-black shadow, but he could transform into a human form. He was a handsome man dressed in black. There was a tiger demon from the 10 Wilderness Demon Kingdom named Brother Tiger Man. He was also a Heavenly Human Secret Realm Warrior. He was a burly man with a magnificent aura when he transformed into a human form. Brother Tiger Man had a younger brother named Brother Tiger Man. However, he didn't enter the Heavenly Human Secret Realm and was still in the LV9 True Spirit. He also participated in the Heavenly Mandate Sacred Selection. The Soul Valley Demon Kingdom and the 10 Wilderness Demon Kingdom were the 2 demon kingdoms under the jurisdiction of the Northern Academy of the Heavenly Mandate Realm. Whether it was Mo Shang or Brother Tiger Man, their battle with the withered exotic beast was quite exciting. After all, they were both Heavenly Human Secret Realm Warriors who could use the laws of heaven and earth they had comprehended. The power of the laws was more than 10 times stronger than the power of the realm. It was precisely because of this that Long Yu thought he was no match for Ji Tianqi. After entering the Heavenly Human Secret Realm, his strength had increased too much. Perhaps when Long Yu entered the LV9 True Spirit, he still couldn't beat these young geniuses in the Heavenly Human Secret Realm and the initial human realm. He was not discouraged. He had a big advantage over these people, and that was the dragon seal of the 9 underworlds. From the beginning of his cultivation until now, it had only been 2 or 3 years, but he was already comparable to these people who had cultivated for 20 years. It was obvious that as Long Yu was given some time, he would definitely surpass these people. The second round of the Heavenly Mandate Sacred Selection is now over. When Mo Shang and Brother Tiger Man walked out of the manor and each got 10 points, Xuanji Shan Hai came to the front of the crowd, glanced at them, and announced, "Next, everyone will rest for 3 days." 3 days later, the third round of the Heavenly Mandate Sacred Selection will begin. Now, I won't tell you what the third round is, but I can tell you that in this third round, you'll be fighting each other. When these words came out, everyone's eyes lit up. Fighting each other. This meant that the next round would be some form of battle. This was a round that everyone was very eager for. After all, this was a test of their true combat ability. In the previous 2 rounds, whether it was comprehending the divine script or challenging the beasts, it was only an indirect indication of their talent. Fighting each other would be able to better reflect their current strength. However, the 3 days that I gave you are not just for you to rest. Xuanji Shan Hai continued, the corners of his mouth curling up slightly. In the next round, you will need to work in teams. Every 3 people will form a small team. You could discuss among yourselves who to team up with. There are no restrictions. Those in the LV, a true spirit, can also team up with experts in the Heavenly Human Secret Realm to increase their chances of winning. Of course, if you have enough confidence in your strength, you can also choose to go alone. When these words came out, the crowd was even more shocked. The third round was actually a team battle round. Although they did not know how the battle would be fought, the rules of team formation made everyone's minds active. Long Yu, who are you going to team up with? Tian Yutian asked immediately. There are too many people watching me. If you team up with me, I'm afraid there will be many difficulties. Long Yu narrowed his eyes. I want to go alone. Long Yu, I'll go with you. Yin Huanimo said as he walked to Long Yu's side. If you team up with me, there will definitely be many enemies. Long Yu said, the rules haven't been announced yet, so we don't have to rush into a decision. 3 people in a team. My brother Lu and I will definitely be together. Tian Yutian's eyes were filled with regret. Brother Long, if you want to go alone or team up with someone else, I definitely won't go with you. What he said was the truth. Long Yu knew that Tian Yutian and Lu Xiao had a good relationship. Lu Xiao was older and wanted stability, so he definitely wouldn't choose to team up with Long Yu. It's fine. It's better for you and Brother Lu to go together. Long Yu nodded, not caring about Tian Yutian's choice. I don't care. I'll go with you. Yin Huanimo was a little stubborn and said to Long Yu. She didn't care what kind of opponents she would face if she teamed up with Long Yu. Anyway, her qualification to participate in the Heavenly Mandate Sacred Selection was given to her by Long Yu. Even if she teamed up with Long Yu and failed, it didn't matter. At least, she had already comprehended 1,000th of the power of the fighting character, which was more than most people. Even if she couldn't win in the Heavenly Mandate Sacred Selection, she wouldn't lose. Well, okay. Long Yu pondered for a moment before nodding his head. It was not the first time he fought side by side with Yin Huanimo. Now that Yin Huanimo had comprehended 1,000th of the power of the fighting character, her strength was not too weak. Other than Yin Huanimo, who took the initiative to be with Long Yu, the others almost automatically stayed away from Long Yu when Xuanji Shanhai said they wanted to team up. The Tang Imperial Princess, Chu Huang, looked at Long Yu apologetically and said, before we left, our elders told us that if there's a team round, I must be in the same team as Long Hin and Ling Long Yu. It's fine. Do as you please, princess. Long Yu waved his hand and didn't care about Chu Huang's choice. Originally, his relationship with Chu Huang was not that close. It was completely normal for Chu Huang not to choose to team up with him, and he wouldn't have any thoughts about it. However, in this way, Long Yu was still separated from the others from the Tang Empire. Yin Huanma was the only one who stood by his side. The enemies we might face. Long Yu narrowed his eyes and swept his gaze across his surroundings. In an instant, he saw many people smiling at him with malicious intentions. It was obvious that they were preparing to be ruthless in the third segment. Among these people, there were disciples of the 10,000 Arrows sect, Su Qiangyi from the North Sea border city, Jian Yi and Hongyu from the Soul Valley Demon Kingdom, Mondakai from the Ancient Men Kingdom, the 7 warriors from the Eastern Sun Kingdom, and even a large group of genius disciples from the Dragon Do Kingdom. Among them, Bai Sheniying from the Dragon Do Kingdom in the Heavenly People's secret realm also looked at Long Yu from afar, his eyes full of killing intent. Chapter 326. Xuanji Shanhai took everyone to the place where the northern courtyard of the Mandate Realm entertained guests. It was like an inn and arranged a room for each of the 400 people. At the door of the room, there was an ID nameplate of each occupant, which was specially used for other people to identify and invite them to team up. At the door of the room where Long Yu lived, there were 5 words, Tang Empire, Long Yu. These guys are really annoying. They all look down on you. In Long Yu's room, Yin Huanma said angrily, "It's not about looking down on me. The key is that I have offended too many people. If you team up with me, it will be hard for you to survive if you are jointly targeted by other experts." Long Yu smiled and did not take it to heart. What he cared about was not whether anyone would team up with him, but what benefits he could get in the next round. How could he get a higher score? That was what he really cared about. Even so, I still feel uncomfortable. Yin Huanma sighed and shook his head. Long Yu, I insist on being with you. Don't say that I am holding you back. How could that be? Long Yu couldn't help laughing. Elder Yin, don't belittle yourself. Being able to defeat a middle-rank exotic beast means that your strength is not bad. How could you be holding me back if you are with me? But I know your real strength. You can defeat people in the rank 9 true spirit a long time ago. Yin Huanma stared at Long Yu. Now that you have stepped into the rank 8 true spirit, there is no one who can rival you in the true spirit's secret realm. Since Xuanji Shanhai asked us to team up, there must be a need. Let's not think too much. Long Yu said casually, let's rest for 3 days and see what the rules of the next round are. Aren't we going to find someone? Yin Huanma was a little unwilling. Everyone else was in a group of 3. She and Long Yu were only in a group. If something happened, would they suffer a lot? It's not easy to find people who would be willing to be in the same group as me, someone who has enemies everywhere. Long Yu shook his head. Let's rest first. All right, then. Yin Huanma nodded. She was now quite convinced of Long Yu. Putting everything else aside, Long Yu had saved the Jintian clan several times when there was almost no hope. This was a man who could create opportunities. Then I'll go back and rest first. Yin Huanma stood up and bade farewell, preparing to leave. But at this moment, there was a knock on the door of Long Yu's room. At the same time, a young man's arrogant voice came in. The one called Long Yu, is he inside? Before Long Yu and Yin Huanma could recover from their shock, the door had already been kicked open, and then a group of 5 young geniuses in snow-white clothes dashed in. Long Yu narrowed his eyes. This group of people broke into his room and seemed to have some bad intentions. But in this place, he believed that these guys would not dare to act wildly. Otherwise, the warriors of the Northern Academy of the Heavenly Mandate Realm would definitely intervene. If someone was killed here, or even just a fight, they might be disqualified from participating in the Heavenly Mandate Sacred Selection. You are from the Ice Source Temple. What business do you have with me? Long Yu asked calmly. The 5 young people who broke in were all wearing snow-white clothes. They were all warriors in the rank 9 true spirit realm. At first glance, it was obvious that they were martial cultivators from the Ice Source Temple. Moreover, in the previous round, Long Yu had a little understanding of the strength of these 5 people. The leader was called Xiao Yu, who could fight to a draw with an exotic beast in the middle 9th level. As for the other 4, they could only challenge exotic beasts in the lower level and won with difficulty. The 5 of us are here to invite you to join our team. The young man in the lead, Xiao Yu, looked polite, but there was incomparable arrogance in his words. It seemed that inviting Long Yu to join their team was a great honor for Long Yu. Ha! Long Yu smiled faintly. Now people are afraid to avoid me, but you guys want to ask me to join you? He had nothing to do with the Ice Source Temple at all. He did not believe that they would be so kind to ask him to join them. Because we have a common enemy. Xiaoyu raised his head and said arrogantly, "We know that you have offended those people from Dragon Do. Everyone knows that people from Dragon Do are the most vengeful. If you join us, we can deal with those people from Dragon Do together. How about that? What are the conditions?" Long Yu asked without raising his head. In reality, just based on the arrogant attitude of the other party, Long Yu didn't want to travel together with them. However, he was still willing to listen to the conditions that the other party would propose for him since they wanted to bring him along. The conditions are very simple. In the third round, if your team gains anything, it will all belong to the Ice Source Temple. If you agree, we will be merciful and take you with us. Xiaoyu said proudly. Huh. Long Yu laughed when he heard that. All the gains will belong to you? What benefits will I get if I join your team? Aren't the benefits obvious? Hearing Long Yu's laughter, Xiaoyu's expression changed. If you don't come with us, you'll be targeted by others. But if you come with us, you'll only have to deal with the people from Dragon Do. It'll be much easier for you. What else do you want? Then should I also take the initiative to give my final score to you? Long Yu said sarcastically. If you can give it to me, of course. However, the score can't be transferred. You can keep it for yourself. Xiaoyu stared at Long Yu with a look that said, "What do you think? Do you agree?" If I agree, won't I be in a team with a bunch of idiots? Long Yu said calmly. Long Yu, you are really good. Xiaoyu was immediately angry and gave off a cold aura. You rejected me and insulted the people of the Ice Source Temple. In the next round, you are dead meat. As soon as he heard the word idiot from Long Yu, Xiaoyu knew that Long Yu was completely playing with him. Under such circumstances, even if Long Yu wanted to team up with him, he could no longer be with Long Yu. What Xiaoyu was thinking now was to find a chance to completely defeat Long Yu in the next round of the Sacred Selection and let Long Yu know the consequences of offending Xiaoyu and the Ice Source Temple. Let's go. After saying this, Xiaoyu turned around and left the room with his people. These people are really strange, Yin Huanma said bitterly. Since they came to invite you to team up with them, they should be more polite. Who do they think they are? Do they think everyone will beg them? Elder Yin, don't be angry. Long Yu waved his hand and closed the door of the room again. Then he said, these people are from the Ice Source Temple and may know something about the Heavenly Mandate Sacred Selection. Since they said that we will get a lot in the next round, it means that we may be able to get a lot to improve our strength. But we have offended the people of the Ice Source Temple again. Yin Huanma sighed softly. We have already offended so many people. What's the harm in offending more? Long Yu smiled. And these people came to me on their own. I don't want to offend them. Do I really have to team up with them and give all the gains in the next round to them? Of course, this was impossible. Therefore, Xiaoyu came with such an arrogant attitude. No matter what, Long Yu would offend the other party. In this case, it was better to offend them as much as possible. It would be polite to say that Xiaoyu and the people behind him were fools. The 3 days that Xuanji Shanhai gave everyone to team up passed quickly. During these 3 days, a lot of things happened. Among them, the matter of Long Yu refusing Xiaoyu's invitation to team up was spread by Xiaoyu with exaggerated details, making Long Yu a fool in the eyes of more than 400 people. He had already made enemies on all sides. Now, he even offended the people of the Ice Source Temple. Long Yu was simply courting death. Under such circumstances, no one was willing to team up with Long Yu. In the end, Long Yu could only team up with Yin Huanma. Basically, Long Yu already knew about many of the teams that were formed. Among the 7 people who came from the Tang Kingdom, apart from Long Hen, Chu Huang, and Ling Long Yu and Yin Huanma were in another team. There were also Yu Qianing and Feng Yao. Feng Yao and 2 female cultivators from the Shuailan Kingdom formed a team. As for Yu Qianing, she used some unknown method to hook up with a genius from the Dragon Kingdom, Worshipping Eagle. Of course, Worshipping Eagle did not team up with Yu Qianing. He chose to team up alone. Yu Qianing hooked up with Worshipping Eagle, and Worshipping Eagle arranged for her to be in another team from the Dragon Kingdom. The other 2 members of this team were the 2 strongest people in the Dragon Kingdom apart from Worshipping Eagle. They were both geniuses who could challenge an upper-level 9th-tier exotic beast. Both of Yu Qianning's teammates were experts who could get one of the final 12 places in the Heavenly Mandate Sacred Selection. The main thing was to see how they performed in the next round. Tian Yutian and Lu Xiao formed a team. There was also a genius swordsman from the Heavenly Cloud Sword Nation. Because Tian Yutian's strength was well known, many people wanted to team up with him. The genius swordsman from the Heavenly Cloud Sword Nation was also quite strong. Although he failed to challenge an upper-level exotic beast, he was still stronger than Lu Xiao. In this way, the overall strength of Tian Yutian's team was not weaker than Yu Qianning's team. 3 days later, everyone gathered outside the 88th Star Beast Garden. Long Yu and Yin Huanma walked together. They were under the ridicule of the others, but they were calm and did not pay attention to them at all. Suddenly, Long Yu saw a lonely figure standing in the crowd. He looked a little lonely. It was Major General Man Xian from the ancient Meng Kingdom. Long Yu thought for a moment and walked toward Man Xian. Chapter 327. Long Yu walked toward Man Xian, who was alone. Major General Man, do you have anyone to go with you? Long Yu asked. Man Xian was standing there with a sullen look on his face. When he heard Long Yu's words, he looked up at him and said with a bright smile, Brother Long, I'm alone. I don't have a team. Why don't you go with me? Long Yu extended an olive branch. You think I'm good enough for you? Man Xian laughed. He knew that it was easy for Long Yu to deal with beasts of the upper 8 levels, but he had to risk his life to defeat a beast of the middle 8 levels. If he were to go with Long Yu, he would be a burden to Long Yu. Strength doesn't matter. Unity is the most important thing for a team. Long Yu narrowed his eyes and said, with his current strength, he was not afraid of anyone below the heavenly realm. Even if he were to face 3 cultivators of Tian Yutian's level at the same time, he would be able to deal with them. But he was still no match for the 6 who had entered the heavenly realm. Under such circumstances, no matter who he teamed up with, he would not be able to change the situation. He would still have to run if he met an opponent in the heavenly realm, but he would not be afraid of anyone below the heavenly realm. For Long Yu, the reason why he invited Man Xian along was because he thought highly of him. Moreover, it was a form of respect toward his father. As the saying goes, like father, like son, old General Man, he was so staunch, and, as his son, Man Xian would not disappoint. Just because of what you said, Brother Long, Man Xian, will go with you. Man Xian laughed heartily and heaved a sigh of relief. He had been worried that if he were to go alone, he would be at a disadvantage in the 3rd round and lose the chance to enter the Heavenly Mandate Institute. Now that he had Long Yu's invitation, no matter what, it gave him some confidence in his heart, and he was no longer so passive. There was strength in numbers. This was a truth that had never changed since ancient times. Even in the Heavenly Mandate continent, a world where martial arts were respected, it was the same. After Man Xian joined, Long Yu introduced him and Yin Huan to each other. These 2 would be Long Yu's teammates in the next round. When the 3 of them stood together, the surrounding martial cultivators found it hilarious. 3 weaklings from the rank 8 true spirit forming a group. It really is birds of a feather flocking together. Think about it. If they didn't form their own team, which team would want them? That's true. I'm looking forward to seeing how this team will perform in the 3rd round. What are you looking forward to? Isn't that obvious? 3 rank 8 true spirit trash. What could they do? They won't be a match for any of our teams. This Long Yu, no matter whether he has the Northern Academy of Heavenly Mandate as his backer or not, he won't be able to do anything in the 3rd round. No one was optimistic about Long Yu's team. There was only one person outside of the team who had confidence in Long Yu, and that was Tian Yutian. Tian Yutian, Lu Xiao, and the genius from the Heavenly Cloud Sword Nation walked together and gave Long Yu a thumbs up from afar. Long Yu smiled and nodded, but he didn't say anything. He knew that Tian Yutian felt guilty for not being in the same team as him, but Long Yu didn't take it to heart. At the very least, if they met in the 3rd round, they could still work together if possible. Brother Tian, could it be that you have some sort of relationship with Long Yu? The genius from the heavenly cloud sword nation beside Tian Yutian frowned slightly. He's my friend. Tian Yutian didn't hide anything and said straightforwardly, Brother Tian, your strength and talent are the best among the 400 of us. The genius from the heavenly cloud sword nation said proudly, Aren't you lowering yourself by being friends with trash like Long Yu? If you say that again, you won't be in the same team as me. Tian Yutian said indifferently. You, Brother Tian. The genius from the heavenly cloud sword nation was stunned for a moment before he said hatefully, Up to you. Anyway, our cooperation will only be in the third round. Let me make this clear, if that kid encounters any danger during the third round, I won't help him. I didn't expect you to help me in the first place. Tian Yutian waved his hand and said, All right, let's not talk about this. Since Senior Xuanji is here, let's hear the rules of the third round first. Since Tian Yutian was able to defeat a 9th-rank upper realm beast, his strength and talent were acknowledged by most of the 400 people. The genius from the heavenly cloud sword nation only wanted to ride on Tian Yutian's coattails. Of course, he wouldn't offend Tian Yutian just because of Long Yu. However, it was better to discuss this matter in advance so that there wouldn't be any conflicts during the competition. After 3 days, Xuanjishan Hai finally appeared in front of the crowd again. He swept a glance at the crowd and saw that there were actually 2 people beside Long Yu. He couldn't help but feel somewhat astonished. This kid can actually find people to form a team with. Xuanjishan Hai narrowed his eyes and said, But it's a pity that they are only in the 8th rank of the true spirit. It seems that if we want to make a move, our chance will be in this round. He didn't show anything strange on the surface. After coming to the front of the crowd, he glanced at everyone and then began to explain the rules of the third round. The third round of the Heavenly Mandate Sacred Selection will be the first face-to-face confrontation between you all. The location of the battle will be the Heavenly Mandate Sand Table created by the 5 Masters of the Sacred Academy of Heavenly Mandate. As he said this, many people in the crowd felt a little strange. The Heavenly Mandate Sand Table? What the hell is this? And it was created by the 5 Masters of the Sacred Academy of Heavenly Mandate. It seemed to be very high-end. The Northern Academy of Heavenly Mandate, the Eastern Academy of Heavenly Mandate, the Western Academy of Heavenly Mandate, the Southern Academy of Heavenly Mandate, and the Central Academy of Heavenly Mandate were the 5 academies of the Heavenly Mandate realm. Something created by the 5 Masters was definitely not ordinary. You can say that the Heavenly Mandate Sand Table is a small world. Xuanjishan Hai continued, In this small world, the terrain is complicated and the world is naturally full of dangers. However, there will be a divine hall of Heavenly Mandate at regular intervals. In the divine hall, many precious treasures are stored. In the world of the Heavenly Mandate Sand Table, there would be divine halls of Heavenly Mandate at regular intervals, where many precious treasures were stored. When everyone heard this, their eyes suddenly lit up. In the third round of the Heavenly Mandate Sacred Selection, it seemed that everyone would be put into the world of the Heavenly Mandate Sand Table to compete for these treasures. Originally, I heard my father say that this Heavenly Mandate Sacred Selection is a test, but it is also an opportunity to improve your strength. It seems that the opportunity he mentioned is in the third round. Someone murmured to himself. There was no doubt that none of the more than 400 people present wanted to miss this opportunity. Even Xuanjishan Hai said that it was a precious treasure. For them, it must be an extremely precious and rare existence. These treasures include some elixirs, some superb weapons, and some high-level martial arts techniques. There is even the existence of the Divine Monument. Xuanjishan Hai was very satisfied when he saw everyone's shock and eagerness. He continued, You all have to seize this opportunity. Then he introduced the Heavenly Mandate Sand Table in detail. In the Heavenly Mandate Sand Table, the space in this small world was extremely large. It was divided into 5 major areas: East, South, West, North, and Center. In each area, there were 100 divine halls of Heavenly Mandate. The treasures in each divine hall were different. As long as a team obtained a treasure in a divine hall, Each member of the team could increase their overall score by 1 point. When 80 out of 100 divine halls of heavenly mandate in a certain area were opened, an advanced divine hall would appear in the center of that area. The treasures in this advanced divine hall were even more precious and extraordinary. If one could obtain it, it could increase the overall score of each member of the team by 10 points. On the third day after all the treasures in the 5 advanced divine halls were obtained, an ultimate divine hall would appear in the center of the entire heavenly mandate sand table. Needless to say, the treasures in the ultimate divine hall must be extremely precious. Even people like Xuanji Shanhai coveted them. Opening the ultimate divine hall could increase the overall score of each member of the team by 100 points. The third round begins. When you're thrown into the heavenly mandate sand table, each team will be separated. Your goal is to resist the natural disasters in the sand table world, and at the same time, find the divine hall of heavenly mandate and seize the treasures. Xuanji Shanhai's lips curled up slightly. In this process, no matter who it is, once on the verge of death, they will be automatically sent out by the heavenly mandate sand table and lose the qualification to continue. In the heavenly mandate sand table, once on the verge of death, they would be automatically sent out. In other words, it was difficult to kill the enemy in the heavenly mandate sand table. But if one could kill the opponent in one move, the rules of the heavenly mandate sand table would not play any role. After listening to what Xuanji Shanhai said, more than 400 people present began to discuss among themselves. Mainly, the 3 people who formed the teams began to discuss countermeasures. There were more than 480 people participating in the heavenly mandate sacred selection. And in the third round, these more than 480 people formed more than 180 teams. After all, some teams were lone rangers, and some teams only had 2 people. More than 180 teams will enter the 5 areas of the heavenly mandate sand table, and there are more than 30 teams in each area. More than 30 teams will seize 100 divine halls of heavenly mandate. Long Yu thought to himself, his eyes slightly narrowed. Since he had participated in the heavenly mandate sacred selection, of course, he had to do his best. Whether it was in the initial regional team battles, or after the appearance of the advanced divine hall and the ultimate divine hall, he had to do his best to seize them. Although whether it was the advanced divine hall or the ultimate divine hall, he was likely to encounter competition from the warriors of the celestial being's secret realm. This was not a reason for him to retreat. The advanced divine hall gets 10 points. The ultimate divine hall gets 100 points. Long Yu's eyes flashed. If I can seize the treasures in the ultimate divine hall, in this time's heavenly mandate sacred selection, my overall score will be far ahead. It was very difficult to have designs on the ultimate divine hall, but it was not impossible. Chapter 328. For a moment, more than 400 geniuses from all over the world were all excited. However, it was rare to see someone like Long Yu who wanted to fight the ultimate divine palace from the very beginning. Among the more than 400 people, only the 6 experts who had entered the heavenly being's secret realm and a few teams with extremely strong comprehensive strength dared to fight the ultimate divine palace. That's all there are. There are no other additional rules in the heavenly mandate sand table, Xuanji Shanhai said lightly. Now, everyone can get ready to go to the small world in the heavenly mandate sand table. As he said this, a chessboard-like thing appeared in his hand. Then the chessboard kept expanding in his hand and floated in the air, turning into a landscape map. In this landscape map, mountains, rivers, ice lakes, deserts, and all kinds of terrains could be seen clearly by everyone. Remember the terrains. Almost everyone had the same thought as they focused their attention on the chessboard map. After just a breath, the chessboard suddenly emitted a strong suction force, sucking more than 400 people into the small world in the chessboard. At this time, Long Yu felt that the dragon seal of the 9 underworlds on his chest began to heat up. It seemed to be resisting the suction force, which shocked him. If the dragon seal of the 9 underworlds resisted the suction force of the chessboard, wouldn't it be obvious that the secret of the dragon seal of the 9 underworlds would be exposed? Absolutely not. With a thought, Long Yu suppressed the resistance of the dragon seal of the 9 underworlds. Then he and the others were sucked into the small world in the chessboard. He only saw that some of the terrains in the south of the chessboard quickly became larger. Slowly, he seemed to be in this small world. The rivers and lakes around him were no longer pictures, but real scenes. The next moment, Long Yu felt that he had landed on the ground and appeared in a forest. Beside him, Yan Huanma and Man Xian were with him. These two were in the same group as him, so when they came in, they naturally appeared in the same place. "We're in." Yan Huan Mo scanned the surroundings and became extremely vigilant. When they entered the small world of the heavenly mandate sand table, it meant that they could encounter danger at any time. According to what Xuanji Shanhai said, this danger did not only come from the genius martial arts cultivators who were also participating in the heavenly mandate sacred selection, but also from the small world of the heavenly mandate sand table itself. Taking action in the heavenly mandate sand table would encounter a series of natural dangers. If one was not careful, he might be directly eliminated by these dangers that came from the world itself. Let's not waste time. Finding the temple is the right thing to do. Man Xian said in a deep voice, "It's a pity that we can't see the shrine's location from the outside. We can only slowly explore it." "That's not necessarily true. Let me try it out first." Long Yu shook his head and said. As soon as he finished speaking, he used a small technique derived from the 9 underworld dragon seal, the spirit-seeking technique. The dense forest around him turned into a green with attribute color in his eyes. The spirit-seeking technique allowed a martial cultivator to directly observe the concentration and attribute of the spiritual chi of heaven and earth with the naked eye. At this moment, in Long Yu's eyes, the surrounding environment was completely under his control. He can find the heavenly mandate temple by using this technique. Man Xian and Yan Huan Mo were a little confused. How could Long Yu have such a magical technique? They knew that it was impossible for Long Yu to lie to them. If it was true, didn't it mean that they had better conditions than anyone else to find a heavenly mandate temple? The area they were in was the southern region of the heavenly mandate sand table. There were a total of 100 heavenly mandate temples in the entire southern region. In these 100 divine halls of revelation, there were countless treasures of heaven and earth, elixirs, magic weapons, and even the divine steel. If Long Yu could really use this technique to find the heavenly mandate temple quickly, wouldn't they be one step ahead of others and get more opportunities than others? This was a shortcut for them to improve their martial arts realm and comprehensive strength. It should be fine. Let's get out of here quickly. Long Yu nodded quickly, and his face became a little solemn. He called out to the two and immediately headed north at the fastest speed. He just used the spirit-seeking technique and did not find the heavenly mandate temple smoothly. But he felt that there was a storm of metal energy in the area further south, and it was approaching quickly. Xuanji Shanhai had said before that there would be many natural disasters in the heavenly mandate sand table, which were enough to kill martial arts practitioners. Although he did not know how strong the metal energy storm was, Long Yu did not dare to take the risk. Man Xian and Yan Huan Mo believed Long Yu's words and immediately followed Long Yu at the fastest speed. The heavenly mandate sand table was in existence to test many martial arts practitioners. Of course, there would be no desperate natural disasters. The three of them fled at the fastest speed. With the speed of the metal energy storm, it could not catch up with them and threaten their lives. In the middle of the forest ahead, there should be a heavenly mandate temple. Let's go and have a look. Long had been maintaining the spirit-seeking technique. In his eyes, among the large green wood energy in front of him, there was a small golden dot. The small golden dot was very small, and it looked like some kind of elixir. A temple. Man Xian and Yan Huan Mo were delighted. They did not expect to find a heavenly mandate temple so soon after they came in. After running for a while, the three of them saw a pyramid-shaped building. This pyramid-shaped building was not very tall. It was not even taller than the forest. It was impossible to find a trace of it from afar. What's more, the outside of this pyramid-shaped building was green. This made it even more difficult for people to notice its existence. Even if someone flew in the sky, he might not notice there was a temple here. It really is a temple. Yin Huan Mo was delighted to see the temple. Long Yu, how did you find it? It's amazing. I happen to know a secret method to detect the concentration of spiritual qi. If you want to learn it, I can teach you when I have the chance. Long Yu said. The spirit-seeking technique was not a powerful spell, but it was convenient for people in many cases. Long Yu did not think there was anything wrong with teaching it to his friends. But now, there was no need for them to learn it. After all, the three of them were moving together, and it was enough for Long Yu to use the spirit-seeking technique alone. The three of them ran toward the Heavenly Mandate Temple as fast as they could. Soon, they came to the entrance of the pyramid-shaped building and stepped inside. In the temple, there were all kinds of treasures. They did not know what treasures were in this temple. The three of them had a touch of expectation in their hearts. In the Northern Academy of the Heavenly Mandate Realm, the Heavenly Mandate Sand Table was suspended in the air. Xuanji Shanhai and the other four supervisors were watching the situation on the sand table. The Heavenly Mandate Divine Palace suddenly appeared in the Heavenly Mandate Sand Table after everyone entered. Therefore, no one knew the location of the Divine Palace before they entered. But now, Xuanji Shanhai and the others could see the situation on the Heavenly Mandate Sand Table clearly. How is it possible? This kid found the temple so quickly. Xuanji Shanhai had been paying attention to the whereabouts of Long Yu from the beginning. At the beginning, he saw a layer of thunderstorm from the south, sweeping towards Long Yu's location. He was overjoyed in his heart, thinking that he could eliminate Long Yu just like that. But he did not expect that Long Yu and the other two would run directly in the opposite direction, making the layer of thunderstorm miss. Not only that, Long Yu ran straight toward a Heavenly Mandate Temple. It should have been impossible to find the temple so easily in such a forest. He is so lucky, but in the Heavenly Mandate Sand Table, you can't just rely on luck to get to the end. Xuanji Shanhai thought to himself. He began to give up checking on Long Yu and the other two and began to observe the overall situation on the entire sand table. Long Yu and the other two stepped into the Heavenly Mandate Temple. It's an elixir bottle. There must be elixirs in it. The three walked to the empty center of the temple and saw only one elixir bottle on the ground. As they got closer, Long Yu easily found that there were 3 elixirs in the elixir bottle. They were all upper-grade, mysterious-level elixirs. If they were absorbed and consumed, it could save several years of hard cultivation. Of course, for martial arts practitioners in the 8th and 9th True Spirit ranks, such an upper-grade mysterious-level elixir was not enough to help them improve their cultivation. What elixir is this? When Long Yu picked up the elixir bottle and gave the elixirs to Yin Huanma and Man Xian, both of them were a little surprised. Upper-grade mysterious-level elixir. Night Rain Wind Listening Elixir. Long Yu squinted his eyes and said, I know a little about most of the mysterious-level elixirs. The refining materials of this Night Rain Wind Listening Elixir are very rare and difficult to refine. The alchemist I know has only refined the Night Rain Wind Listening Elixir once in his life, and it was more than 10 years ago. The Heaven Flower Water Spirit Elixir that Long Yu refined with fluorescent water, spiritual grass, and Heaven Flower Vermilion Fruit was only a middle-grade mysterious-level elixir. However, the Night Rain Wind Listening Elixir was a level higher than the Heaven Flower Water Spirit Elixir. Upper-grade mysterious level. Man Xian and Yin Huanma were shocked. They had never seen such a high-grade elixir in their lives. If I absorb this Night Rain Wind Listening Elixir, I might be able to try to break through to the 9th True Spirit Realm. Man Xian's eyes were burning with excitement. Time is of the essence. Take it now. Long Yu said immediately. If Man Xian's martial arts realm improved, it would be safer for him to move around in the Heavenly Mandate Sand Table. Most importantly, if he could break through after taking the night rain wind listening elixir, it would only take him an hour at most. Long you could afford to wait. After all, he could fly and use the spirit-seeking skill. It was much more convenient for him to move around in the small world of the heavenly mandate sandtable than most people. That you're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.